Chapter 42-22. Are you sure? They're all very powerful. The monarch put on a caring expression, but in his heart he was also sneering. This little girl was indeed too arrogant. Qin Feiyong, the madman, and the white-eyed wolf, which one of them wasn't an existence that dominated a region? How dare she call them trash? If she really had the strength, that would be fine. But if she didn't, then the one who would be embarrassed in the end would only be himself. Are you doubting my ability? The woman raised her eyebrows and looked at the king unkindly. No. The king hurriedly waved his hand and looked at the divine king, the sovereign of the human race, Heavenly Lord Ji, and shouted, "Let's retreat." Whoosh! Immediately, the three of them turned around and left without looking back. Forget it if he didn't appreciate it. Anyway, he had already persuaded them. Even if they died in the hands of Qin Feiyong and the others, the emperor of the central dynasty wouldn't blame them. The woman looked at the four of them with contempt, then looked at Qin Feiyong and the others and said indifferently, "Who wants to die first? Fuck you. If I don't go crazy, do you think I'm a sick cat?" The madman was furious. Shouldn't there be a limit to being arrogant? Shouldn't you see who your opponent is now? Don't you know? I'm the representative of arrogance. Boom. He took a step forward and charged towards the woman. The woman looked at the madman mockingly. But suddenly, a hand reached out from behind and pulled the madman back. The madman was slightly taken aback. He turned his head and saw a golden figure flashing past, charging towards the woman like lightning. His eyes were also filled with anger. That's right. It was the white-eyed wolf. What are you doing? The madman came back to his senses and hurriedly chased, grabbing the white-eyed wolf and said angrily, "She is my opponent. Go away." The white-eyed wolf shook the madman off. "You're the one who should go to the side." The madman was furious. He was the one who attacked first. Aren't you annoying? Aren't you happy watching from the side? Let's talk about it later. You're a man and she's a woman. If you fight with her, you will be laughed at. People will say that you bully women and children. So I'm doing this for your own good. Why can't you understand? White-eyed wolf sighed. Aren't you also a man? Madman rolled his eyes. I'm different. In any case, the first battle must be me. There's no room for discussion. The white-eyed wolf snorted. Do you have the final say? Madman's face darkened. Shouldn't everything be based on first come, first served? Looking at the two of them arguing, the woman's mocking expression became even more intense. She said, "It's fine. You two are about to die anyway. You can come at me together." When the two of them heard this, they immediately stared at the woman with cold eyes. After so many years, no one had ever dared to look down on them. As usual, the madman looked at Qin Feiyong and said in a deep voice, "All right." The white-eyed wolf nodded. Qin Feiyong rubbed his forehead, speechless. As usual? The four of them were stunned and looked at the madman suspiciously. The king and the other three standing in the distance also had a puzzled look. They were strong enough so they didn't need to evacuate like the others. The madman and the white-eyed wolf sat opposite each other with one hand behind their back and a serious look on their faces. 3, 2, 1. Suddenly, the two of them shouted in unison, "Rock, scissors, paper." The hand behind their back stretched out at the same time. Both of them were scissors. What the hell? The king and the other three were stunned. Rock, scissors, paper? This is too childish. They are experts who have mastered the will of heaven. Can't they have the demeanor of an expert? On the other side, the inner demons and Lu Jijin didn't know whether to laugh or cry. What two weirdos? Again. The madman roared. Rock, scissors, paper. The two of them once again showed their fists at the same time. Don't cheat. The madman glared at the white-eyed wolf. It's you who shouldn't cheat. The white-eyed wolf also glared at the madman. Again. The two of them roared once again. This time they showed their scissors at the same time. When did we become so telepathic? The madman's expression was dull. Don't disgust me. Only a ghost would be telepathic with you. The white-eyed wolf snorted coldly. Good. The madman nodded repeatedly and roared. Today, we won't stop until the outcome is decided. Come on, do you think I'm afraid of you? The white-eyed wolf was not to be outdone. For the two of them, this was a very serious matter. But in the eyes of others it was just like playing house, a joke. The four women initially thought it was very fun and interesting. They looked like two clowns, but gradually they couldn't help but frown. Were they deliberately teasing them? Don't mind them, they are like this. Qin Feiyong looked at the four of them and smiled faintly. Then, under the astonished gaze of the four, he took out a tea table and 2 chairs and placed them in the void in front of them. He then took out a tea set and began to slowly brew tea. This scene made the four women's brows furrow tighter and tighter. They were even more convinced that these people were deliberately teasing them. Don't go too far. The young man with the murderous aura roared. A wave of blood roared out, drowning the sky. The madman and the white-eyed wolf were stunned. They raised their heads and looked at the young man. But it was only a glance before they continued to play rock, paper, scissors. Qin Feiyong smiled faintly and looked at the four of them. Why don't you come over and have a taste? You're courting death. The young man took a step forward and threw a punch at Qin Feiyong. I kindly invited you to drink tea, and you have such an attitude? Qin Feiyong shook his head. An incarnation appeared. The incarnation's aura was like a rainbow. It turned into a light shadow and punched the young man. Boom! A terrifying wave of air rolled out. The surrounding void immediately began to collapse. 3,000 incarnations? The young man frowned. Not bad. The incarnation chuckled. An incarnation dares to act rashly? The young man was furious. His black hair was instantly dyed red. He was like an awakened demon king. A blood-red murderous aura shrouded the world. Qin Feiyong drank tea while looking at the young man with interest. This should be the true face of the young man. He did look a little scary, but he didn't know if he was a paper tiger. Haha, it was also at this moment. There was a loud laugh. Everyone looked at the madman and saw the white-eyed wolf looking at the madman standing opposite of him with a smug face. The madman had a look of annoyance. Who's the winner and loser? Just a rock-paper-scissors game can defeat hundreds of people. In this world, only the two of you can do it. Qin Feiyong looked helpless. There's no other way. We have too much tacit understanding today. Whatever I do, he will do. The white-eyed wolf bared his teeth and looked at the madman. Little madman, if you agree to bet, you must accept your loss. The madman snorted from his nose and turned to walk to Qin Feiyong's side. He sat on another chair and took out a jar of divine wine. He sneered and said, Laozi wants to see how you are going to be tortured by her. After saying that, he raised his head and gulped down the wine as if he was venting his anger. Torture me? The white-eyed wolf turned to look at the woman opposite him and muttered to himself, Little madman, I'm afraid you are going to be disappointed. Don't think that I don't have any other means besides battle's soul. If I go all out, even you are not my opponent. No one heard these words. Even the woman standing opposite him only knew that the white-eyed wolf was muttering. As his voice fell, the killing intent in the white-eyed wolf's eyes surged. He sneered and said, Bitch, being arrogant in front of me is the worst thing you have done in your life. Boom! Immediately, he took a step forward and unleashed all his energy as he threw a punch at the woman. I hope your strength is as powerful as your mouth. The woman snickered and didn't back down. Divine power surged out and she threw a punch. Boom! When the fist and the palm met, a destructive energy wave immediately surged in all directions with the two of them as the center. The scene of the end of the world immediately appeared. The sky was collapsing, the earth was cracking and the sky was collapsing. Before the battle, no one mentioned that they wanted to enter the galaxy. Apparently they were all ready to fight at this moment. Heavenly Lord, hurry up and go to Mount Supreme and help the 10 overlords to move all the creatures in the West Continent to the South Continent and the North Continent. I have a feeling that this battle will affect the entire West Continent. The king said. Okay. Heavenly Lord Ji nodded and immediately opened a passage and left. Chapter 42-23. The air billowed and flooded in all directions. In the center of the battlefield, the wind howled. The white-eyed wolf and the woman were on par in terms of strength and physical strength. Every time they collided, an unparalleled wave would erupt. Boom! After a few hundred rounds, the woman's gaze turned cold. The power of laws surged out and turned into a giant dragon that was more than 10,000 feet long. It roared in the sky and pounced toward the white-eyed wolf. The white-eyed wolf sneered and did not panic at all. Along the way, what kind of battle had he not experienced? In terms of on-the-spot reaction, he could be considered one of the best. Just as the woman's power of laws was about to kill him, he activated split time, took a step forward, and instantly appeared behind the woman like a ghost. The power of laws in his palm surged, and he mercilessly slapped the woman's back. Poof! The woman spat out a mouthful of blood on the spot, and her face turned pale. The huge force sent her flying like a meteorite. With a loud bang, she smashed into the ground below. A bottomless pit immediately appeared. Dong Exai. In the sky above, 2 men and 1 woman exclaimed. They did not expect that Dong Exaian, one of the 5 unparalleled geniuses of the Central Dynasty, would suffer a great loss in the hands of the golden-winged Wolf King. I'm fine. Accompanied by a cold voice, the woman walked out of the huge pit step by step. Her hair was disheveled and her face was dirty, and she was dripping with blood. However, that pair of dark eyes was suffused with a gloomy luster. Not bad. You're not dead. The white-eyed wolf looked at her mockingly. The one who's going to die is you. Dong Exaian smiled coldly. Boom! Wisps of destructive auras burst out from them. In just an instant, 6 ultimate profound meanings appeared out of nowhere. All the ultimate profound meanings of the strongest laws. Following closely, the will of the heavenly Tao erupted. The void and the land here collapsed crazily. Sure enough, none of the people from the Central Dynasty are simple characters. The king whispered. Whether it was the Liu brothers or this Dong Exaian, they all had 6 ultimate profound meanings of the strongest laws. Compared to these people, the geniuses of the 3 major races were no different from trash. Go to hell. Dong Exaian was obviously enraged, and her murderous aura soared. With a wave of his hand, the ultimate mysteries of the 6 ultimate laws shot toward the white-eyed wolf with world-destroying power. Just this? The white-eyed wolf was disdainful. The laws of death, the laws of destruction, the laws of life, the laws of space-time, the 6 ultimate mysteries instantly appeared in the sky. The will of the heavenly Tao enveloped the entire area as it furiously attacked. Rumble! An earth-shattering explosion rang out. The 12 ultimates clashed together, causing the world to lose its color. Immediately after, a destructive wave of air surged out in all directions like a tide. Everywhere it passed, mountains and rivers shattered, the ground caved in, and the disaster spread to hundreds of millions of kilometers away. You want to kill me with just 6 ultimate mysteries? Who are you looking down on? The white-eyed wolf sneered. Strands of power of law gushed out of his body, turning into a huge tornado that swept through the world and charged toward Dong Exaian. If this is all you have, do you think I would dare to be so arrogant? Dong Exaian waved her hand, and the power of law rolled out like a torrent. The 2 ultimates shattered at the same time in the void. Then she looked at the white-eyed wolf as if she was looking at a clown. Haha, then hurry up and show me. Let's see if you can surprise me. The white-eyed wolf laughed maniacally. The 6 ultimate mysteries once again appeared in the sky, drowning out the void as they blasted toward Dong Exaian. Open your dog eyes wide and take a good look. Dong Exaian sneered. Rumble. The next moment, the 6 ultimate mysteries appeared. But right after, along with the emergence of a terrifying power of law, another ultimate mystery of the ultimate mysteries of the ultimate laws appeared in the sky. 7 ultimate mysteries of the ultimate laws. The Divine King and the other 2 were shocked. This little girl's strength was comparable to theirs? 7 ultimate mysteries of the ultimate laws against 6 ultimate mysteries of the ultimate laws, and both had the will of the heavenly Tao. The result was obvious. Rumble. The white-eyed wolf's 6 ultimate mysteries were annihilated on the spot. His body also shook violently. A mouthful of blood spurted out. Now tell me, do I have the right to be arrogant? Dong Exaian sneered. With a wave of her arm, the ultimate mysteries blasted toward the white-eyed wolf like lightning. With a loud bang, the white-eyed wolf smashed into the ground, and blood spurted out all over his body. 7 ultimate mysteries of the ultimate laws. Is this the unparalleled genius of the Central Dynasty? He looked at the woman standing in the sky in high spirits with a trace of disdain in his eyes. Compared to the inner demons and big cousin, she was too weak. The inner demons had mastered 6 ultimate mysteries of the ultimate laws, and 1 ultimate mystery of the law of life and death, which surpassed the ultimate laws. They also had the Demon King True Body. Lu Jijin also had the Eye of Nothingness. Although he only had 6 ultimate mysteries of the ultimate laws, the Eye of Nothingness alone was enough to kill this woman. With this strength, what was there to be arrogant about? An ant will always be an ant. Dong Xian looked down at the white-eyed wolf with disdain. Immediately after, the 7 ultimate mysteries moved and charged toward the white-eyed wolf aggressively. The white-eyed wolf soared into the sky with a whoosh. Instant time was used to the extreme. However, an additional ultimate profundity of an ultimate law was equivalent to an insurmountable chasm. For a moment, the white-eyed wolf was being suppressed. Golden blood floated all over his body, and he looked more and more miserable. This brother wolf, can he do it? Frenzy held the wine jar and looked at this scene. He couldn't help but frown. I don't know. Qin Feiyong shook his head. Of course, they knew the white-eyed wolf's strength. 6 ultimate mysteries of the ultimate laws, and the battle soul's 3 heaven-defying abilities. If someone helped him, no matter how strong or how many opponents there were, the white-eyed wolf would be in an undefeatable position. This was because once the white-eyed wolf succeeded, he would either deprive the opponent of their cultivation or their ultimate laws. Whether it was depriving the opponent of their cultivation or their ultimate laws, it would be fatal for an expert of this level. But now, the white-eyed wolf and Dong Xian were fighting one-on-one. Even if the white-eyed wolf activated his battle soul, Dong Xian could interrupt him in time with her powerful strength. Therefore, on the surface, the white-eyed wolf's chances of winning were very small. However, one couldn't look at the white-eyed wolf with ordinary eyes. Qin Feiyong naturally knew the white-eyed wolf's character like the back of his hand. But as for the white-eyed wolf's means and strength, to be honest, Qin Feiyong had never seen through him. He always felt that there were some secrets hidden in the white-eyed wolf that he didn't know. Bang! Once again, the white-eyed wolf was blasted into the ground. Dust and smoke billowed and covered the sky. The wounds on his body were so deep that his bones could be seen. Just so, Dong Xian sneered. Previously, she heard rumors that the 5 major clans were afraid of the golden-winged wolf king. This made her think that the white-eyed wolf had 3 heads and 6 arms. However, after fighting with him, she realized that he was just an ordinary guy. The other 2 men and 1 woman lowered their heads to look at the bloody white-eyed wolf and revealed a contemptuous look. They couldn't understand. Such a small character. How could the 5 major clans be so afraid of him? Haha, just a so-a-so? I really want to know who gave you the courage. The white-eyed wolf laughed wildly. Dong Xian raised her eyebrows. At this point he still dared to be arrogant. It seemed that he really hadn't died before. Bang! The 7 ultimate laws instantly appeared in the sky and laughed coldly. I'll send you to hell now. As the voice fell, the 7 ultimate laws suddenly fell and attacked the seriously injured white-eyed wolf. Not good. Frenzy suddenly stood up. If you want to fight, I'll accompany you. The ferocious young man immediately looked at Frenzy and laughed. Frenzy looked at the young man, a cold light flashing in his eyes. Don't be impatient. Qin Feiyong reached out to stop Frenzy. His eyes were locked on the white-eyed wolf. Suddenly, his pupils shrank. Send me to hell? Haha, old woman, don't you know? Even the king of hell has to kneel and beg for mercy when he sees me. The white-eyed wolf laughed loudly. His whole body suddenly emitted a dazzling golden light, as dazzling as the scorching sun in the sky. At the same time, Frenzy and the other 2 men and 1 woman also looked at the white-eyed wolf in surprise. Ayo! The next moment, a giant golden wolf appeared in their line of sight. Its body was more than 10 meters long, and its fur seemed to be cast from gold leaf, dazzling and dazzling. On its back there were 2 golden wings. As the wings kept flapping, a storm roared out. Golden-winged Wolf King. This is his true face. The 2 men and 1 woman murmured. It's quite handsome. Submit to me and be my mount, then I will spare your life. Dong Xian sized up the white-eyed wolf, and a smile appeared on her face. But as long as one wasn't a fool, one could see that it was a thick sneer. Really stupid, you still don't know when death is at hand. The white-eyed wolf whispered. then turned his head to look at Qin Feiyong in frenzy, and laughed, "I will let you see my true strength." So, as his voice fell, the golden wings behind his back suddenly erupted with a mighty aura. Following closely, he spread his wings and combined with split time, he instantly disappeared from the spot. At this time, the 7 ultimate mysteries that were attacking the white-eyed wolf finally arrived. But as the white-eyed wolf disappeared, the 7 ultimate mysteries directly streaked across the void and blasted into the ground below. The ground within 100 million miles was instantly shattered, and cracks appeared everywhere. This scene shocked Qin Feiyong in frenzy to the extreme. He actually disappeared from the face of the earth? When they came back to their senses, they hurriedly scanned the void, looking for traces of the white-eyed wolf. The next moment, their eyes locked onto the sky above Dong Xian's head. Unknowingly, the white-eyed wolf had already appeared in the void above Dong Xian. Impossible! When the 2 men and 1 woman saw the white-eyed wolf, they also had a look of disbelief. How could he be so fast? In the blink of an eye, he appeared above Dong Xian's head. Even a split second wouldn't be able to do that. The most important thing was, none of them were able to capture the white-eyed wolf's movements. One must know, with their strength, even if it was split time, they could clearly capture the other party's movements. But now, they didn't see how the white-eyed wolf appeared above Dong Xian. Chapter 42-24. Boom! Before Dong Xian could react, the white-eyed wolf slapped her with its claws. With a loud bang, Dong Xian was smashed into the ground below like a meteorite. On his back, there was a claw mark so deep that his bones could be seen. Blood was gushing out. "Now tell me, do you have the right to be arrogant in front of me?" This time it was the white-eyed wolf's turn to look down at Dong Xian. From afar it was as if a peerless wolf king was born, causing people to feel fear. This wolf cub. In the distance, the inner demons muttered, feeling extremely shocked. Was this the white-eyed wolf's strength? It could only be described as terrifying. But his speed is really strange. Lu Jiajin frowned. The white-eyed wolf's current speed was much faster than the moment of time. On the other side, the king and the other 2 were also stunned. After knowing each other for so long, they did not know that the white-eyed wolf had such means. In the sky, whoosh! The white-eyed wolf flapped its wings and instantly landed in front of Dong Xian, slapping her with its claws. Dong Xian's entire body was smashed into the ground with a loud bang. Her body was badly mutilated and it was a tragic sight. So fast! This time Qin Feiyong and Frenzy were completely dumbfounded. Because this time they had been staring at the white-eyed wolf, but they still could not capture the white-eyed wolf's movements. What did this mean? It meant that the white-eyed wolf's current speed was beyond their comprehension. What was going on? Why did it suddenly become this fast? Wait! Suddenly, Qin Feiyong stared at the golden wings behind the white-eyed wolf, his eyes full of surprise. Could it be because of this pair of wings? At this moment, the white-eyed wolf grabbed Dong Xian with its claws again. The next moment, it spread its wings, activated the moment of time, grabbed Dong Xian, and instantly appeared in the sky. Arrogant with me? Who do you think you are? The white-eyed wolf sneered disdainfully, grabbing Dong Xian and throwing her down to the ground. With a loud bang, Dong Xian was smashed into the ground again. Her body cracked open and blood stained the ground red. It really is this pair of wings. Qin Feiyong's eyes trembled as he stared at the golden wings on the back of the white-eyed wolf. This pair of wings had already appeared when the white-eyed wolf became a god. However, after all these years, this pair of wings was completely like an ornament, and did not display any use at all. As such, over time, Qin Feiyong also thought that this pair of wings only looked good, so he slowly ignored it. Who would have thought that he would be able to unleash such a shocking amount of power? Judging from the current speed, the speed of this pair of wings was probably comparable to that of an instant. The speed of the wings itself was already so astonishing, and with the addition of the moment of time, this speed had already surpassed the limits of speed that they currently knew. This guy really hit himself well. The madman smiled bitterly. From the ancient world to the underworld king's hell, then from the underworld king's hell to the sky cloud realm, and now from the sky cloud realm to the divine kingdom. After knowing each other for so many years, They did not know that the white-eyed wolf had such a heaven-defying method. As everyone knew, the moment of time was the fastest method. There was nothing that could be compared to it. But now the white-eyed wolf relied on this pair of wings, in addition to his own moment of time, to break through the limits of heaven and earth. It could be said that, in today's world, no one would be faster than the white-eyed wolf. And in a battle between experts, strength was part of it, battle awareness was another part, and speed was also another part. Relying on this extreme speed, the white-eyed wolf was enough to sweep everything away. As the white-eyed wolf's brothers, Qin Feiyang and the madman, were already so shocked, not to mention the two men and one woman, as well as the monarch, they all looked like they had seen a ghost. How could the laws of heaven and earth allow this kind of extreme speed to exist? However, the scene before them was truly and vividly displayed before them. What kind of monster was this? It had completely exceeded their understanding of this world. You still don't understand? This brother is the representative of arrogance. Haha. The white-eyed wolf stared at Dong Xian, who was lying in a pool of blood, and laughed unscrupulously. Boom! At the next moment, the 6 ultimate profound meanings appeared, and the will of heaven erupted. With a wave of the white-eyed wolf's claws, the 6 ultimate meanings instantly shattered heaven and earth and charged towards Dong Xian. Dong Xian, make him shut up. Looking at the white-eyed wolf's arrogant and domineering attitude, the other woman's eyes surged with killing intent as she shouted at Dong Xian. Qin Feiyang and the madman looked at the woman. What did she mean? Could it be that Dong Xian still had other methods? One must know. With the white-eyed wolf's current speed, even if Dong Xian had mastered the 8 ultimate meanings, or even the ultimate meaning of the law of life and death, it was impossible to defeat the white-eyed wolf. Because with the white-eyed wolf's current speed, it could easily avoid the ultimate meaning of the law of life and death. Unless it was ganged up on. For example, Qin Feiyang's 3,000 incarnations and the Demon King real body of the inner demons. There was no way for the white-eyed wolf to avoid it. However, not everyone could master the 3,000 incarnations and the Demon King real body. That's right. Let him have a taste of your true means. The 2 young men by the side also spoke one after another, staring at the white-eyed wolf with extremely gloomy eyes. She really has other means? Qin Feiyang and the madman looked at each other, their hearts trembling. Facing the white-eyed wolf, Dong Xian was still so confident. Her hidden strength was definitely not simple. Hence, the 2 of them immediately paid attention to Dong Xian. They looked at Dong Xian again. She slowly got up. A surge of majestic life laws emerged. The injuries on her body instantly healed at a speed visible to the naked eye. Boom! At the next moment, she activated the 7 ultimate meanings and charged into the sky, crushing the white-eyed wolf's 6 ultimate meanings effortlessly. She then continued to charge towards the white-eyed wolf. Why don't you understand? In the face of speed that surpasses the limit, all attacks are futile. The white-eyed wolf laughed loudly. The golden wings spread out, and with the moment of time, it directly disappeared into the sky. The next moment it appeared behind Dong Xian. The power of laws surged out like a tide, and a claw slammed towards Dong Xian's head. If this claw hit, Dong Xian's head would probably explode on the spot. However, even so, Dong Xian was not nervous at all at this moment. After being arrogant for so long, it's indeed time to shut you up, she murmured without turning her head back. Before her voice faded, rays of white divine light roared out from her body. In just an instant, a white barrier appeared, exuding a sacred aura. What the hell is this? The white-eyed wolf was shocked. Out of instinct, it immediately retracted its hand and retreated from the barrier like lightning. But for this, Dong Xian didn't care. She slowly turned around and looked at the white-eyed wolf. Her body was surrounded by divine light, like a fairy descending from the heavens. The barrier around her was only 5 feet wide, but it was this 5 feet wide barrier that exuded a vast aura. And inside the barrier, one could clearly see mysterious runes floating. The white-eyed wolf, including Qin Feiyang and the madman in the sky, the lord and the other 2 in the distance, and Lu Jiajin and the other 2, all looked at this barrier suspiciously. It looked quite scary. If you have any last words, quickly say it now, otherwise you won't have the chance to say it later. High in the sky, 2 men and 1 woman sneered. So confident? Qin Feiyong and the madman raised their eyebrows. What was so powerful about this barrier? Deliberately mystifying? The white-eyed wolf was also pondering in his heart. Even the strongest law and ultimate esoteric couldn't do anything to him now, so what was a mere barrier? You're not unfamiliar with the 10 strongest battle souls, right? Dong Xian suddenly said. Nonsense. The white-eyed wolf's face darkened. The owners of the 10 strongest battle souls were all around him, so of course he wasn't unfamiliar with them. But you only know about the 10 strongest battle souls, but you don't know that in this world, there are existences that can be on par with the 10 strongest battle souls. Dong Xian sneered. Huh. The white-eyed wolf was puzzled. Those that can be on par with the 10 strongest battle souls are the 5 heaven-defying domains. And the heaven-defying domain that I control is one of them, the sealed god domain. Dong Xian smiled coldly. 5 heaven-defying domains? Sealed god domain. What is this? Qin Feiyong and the others looked at each other. They had never heard of this before. Don't worry. Because soon you will see how terrifying the sealed god domain is. Especially you. Dong Xian raised her head and looked at Qin Feiyong with provocation in her eyes. He. Defeat the white-eyed wolf first. Qin Feiyong smiled faintly. You can still laugh now? It seems that you don't realize the seriousness of the problem at all. I advise you to be careful, otherwise it will be too late to regret it later. The other 2 men and 1 woman mocked. Let me give you a piece of advice. Don't be so noisy. The madman raised his head and looked at the 3 of them. His eyes were filled with bloody light, and the evil aura in his body was gradually awakening. However, in this regard, the 2 men and 1 woman still had a disdainful attitude. The madman couldn't help but be annoyed. He lowered his head and looked at the white-eyed wolf, shouting, Brother Wolf, if you lose to her today, don't say that you are our brother in the future. We can't afford to lose this face. Are you kidding? Brother will lose to her. The white-eyed wolf snorted coldly. Then quickly get rid of her and let these self-righteous guys shut their stinky mouths for me. The madman laughed. As brothers who had gone through life and death together, of course, he was full of confidence in the white-eyed wolf. The white-eyed wolf raised his head and looked at the 2 men and 1 woman. His eyes were full of arrogance. And then he looked at Dong Xian and said domineeringly, What means do you have? Bring it on. I gave you a chance to say your last words, but you don't know how to cherish it. Then don't blame me for being ruthless. Dong Xian smiled coldly, raised her arm, and pointed her slender index finger at the white-eyed wolf, shouting, In my name seal. Words were law. Between heaven and earth, a vast force suddenly emerged, covering the sky and the earth as it rushed towards the white-eyed wolf. This mysterious force filled the air in all directions. The white-eyed wolf was like a bird in a cage, unable to escape even if it had wings. Boom! In just a moment, the white-eyed wolf was drowned by this force. At this moment, an astonishing scene appeared. The power of the law in the white-eyed wolf's body instantly dissipated. Even his powerful aura had completely disappeared. What's going on? The madman and Qin Feiyong suddenly stood up. The monarch and the other 2, as well as Lu Jijin and the other 2, were also full of surprise. Immortal God of War chapters will continue to be updated in the hand-fighting bar. There are no advertisements in the website. Please bookmark and recommend the hand-fighting bar. Chapter 42-25. During the battle, it was impossible for the white-eyed wolf to retract his aura and power of laws. This must be related to the sealed god domain. Seal? Could this be a method to seal the power of laws? And the white-eyed wolf was also a little flustered at this moment. As the person involved, his feelings were of course the most obvious. When this power surged over, not only was his power of laws instantly sealed, but even the power of his physical body was instantly sealed. One must know. This was a battle. And it was a battle of life and death. The power of laws and physical strength were sealed by the other party. What did this mean? It meant that he would become an ordinary person. How could an ordinary person fight against an existence that grasped the ultimate meaning of the 7 strongest laws and the will of the heavenly Tao? This was simply the difference between a mortal and a god. A dead end. Surprised. Surprised? Desperate. Dong Xian stared at the white-eyed wolf, her face full of smiles. Madman roared, Brother Wolf, Quickly use your physical strength to get out of this predicament. My physical strength has also been sealed. The white-eyed wolf opened his mouth. His tone became extremely heavy. Even his divine power had been sealed. It seemed that he had really underestimated this woman. What? Madman was dumbfounded. Even his physical strength had been sealed? Then what was the difference between the white-eyed wolf and an ordinary person? Sealing the power of laws, divine power and strength, this is the power of the sealed God domain. Dong Xian laughed proudly. Hearing this, Qin Feiyang and Madman couldn't help but tremble. There was actually such a terrifying method in this world? With the power of laws, divine power and strength sealed, it was equivalent to a powerless mortal. The white-eyed wolf was in danger. Swish! Dong Xian moved. She took a step forward and flew towards the white-eyed wolf. The white-eyed wolf's eyes darkened as he turned around and ran. However, his current speed couldn't compare to Dong Xian at all. In just an instant, Dong Xian caught up to him and slapped him on the back. He spat out a mouthful of blood and flew out on the spot, smashing into a deep ditch, his body covered in blood. Aren't you good at running? Dong Xian sneered. He landed in front of the white-eyed wolf and grabbed the golden wings on the back of the white-eyed wolf. Could it be that even the golden wings can't be used? Madman was extremely anxious. Indeed, it couldn't be used. This was because the golden wings were actually powered by divine power. Now that the divine power had been sealed, the golden wings were naturally unable to unleash their previous might. Let's see how you're going to run without these wings. Dong Xian smiled cruelly. She exerted force in her arm and tore off one of the white-eyed wolf's wings on the spot. Golden blood immediately gushed out from the wound. The intense pain caused even the white-eyed wolf to howl in pain. Now, even if you want to die, I won't let you do as you wish. I'm going to make you suffer so much that you'll wish you were dead. Dong Xian grabbed the other wing and tore it off with a squelch. Bastard! Madman roared. His aura surged out. What are you trying to do? The young man with the murderous aura took a step forward. Killing intent flickered in Madman's eyes. Qin Feiyang also slowly put down his teacup. Strands of astonishing life and death energy rose from his body. Of course, they couldn't leave him in the lurch. In the distance. What should we do? Should we make a move? The Divine King transmitted his voice. The king and the human race supreme stared at the white-eyed wolf in silence. At the same time, on the other side, the inner demons also had a trace of killing intent in their eyes. Don't be impatient. Lu Jujin stopped him. His face also seemed somewhat gloomy. Stop. But at this moment, the white-eyed wolf's low and hoarse voice sounded. Qin Feiyang and Madman quickly lowered their heads and looked at the white-eyed wolf. At this moment, the white-eyed wolf was already under Dong Xian's foot. She humiliated and trampled him to her heart's content. The wound on his back was constantly bleeding. It was a shocking sight. None of you are allowed to interfere. This woman must be ended by me personally. The white-eyed wolf laughed sinisterly. That's right. He was laughing. There was an unprecedented madness in his words. The two looked at each other and temporarily restrained themselves. You want to end me personally? Don't you understand the current situation? Trash like you, if one comes, I will kill one. If a pair comes, I will kill a pair. Because no one can pass the seal of the sealed God domain. Dong Xian laughed contemptuously. Sealed God domain. It is indeed out of my expectations. But it can only seal divine power, the power of law, and the strength of the physical body. It can't seal the battle soul. The white-eyed wolf laughed sinisterly. This was a great humiliation. Other than facing the ice dragon and the small beast, he had never been trampled under someone's foot like this. How embarrassing. Dong Xian exerted force on her foot, and the white-eyed wolf's body sank into the ground. She sneered, the sealed God domain can't seal your battle soul, but so what? I know the ability of your battle soul. I can completely interrupt it before it is taken away. Don't waste your time. Today is the day you die. Ha 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 ha, the white-eyed wolf's sinister laughter came from the ground. Because his entire head had sunk into the ground, his voice was a little muffled. Dong Xian raised her eyebrows. The laughter made her feel uneasy. Even little Qin Zi and little Crazy don't dare to say that they understand my battle soul. Let alone you. Come out. Fourth innate superpower. Roar. As the white-eyed wolf roared, a golden light shone brightly. A golden beast's shadow rushed into the sky. Its feet stepped on the ground and its head reached the sky. It was as if a supreme beast had been born. The invisible beast's aura swept out in all directions like a tide. Dong Xian was caught off guard and was sent flying by the aura on the spot. What's going on? Fourth innate superpower? Qin Feiyong and Crazy looked at each other. The first innate superpower, deprive battle soul. The second innate superpower, deprive cultivation. The third innate superpower, deprive law. This was known to everyone. But when did a fourth innate superpower appear? The monarch and the other two, Lu Zhongyang and Crazy, including the 2 men and 1 woman, all looked at the white-eyed wolf in surprise. The white-eyed wolf slowly got up. His body was covered in blood and mud. Suddenly, he turned and stared at Dong Xian. Dong Xian had already calmed down. Looking at the white-eyed wolf's eyes, a chill rose in her heart uncontrollably. She didn't dare to delay any longer. All the ultimate innate superpower appeared. 4 of the ultimate innate superpower attacked the white-eyed wolf. The other 3 ultimate innate superpower attacked the golden beast's shadow. This was a 2-pronged attack. From the moment you met me, your failure has already been destined. But you are also quite honored. Because even little Qinzi and Crazy have never seen my 4th innate superpower. Similarly, this is also the first time I have activated my 4th innate superpower. You be prepared. The white-eyed wolf said coldly. As his voice fell, he suddenly raised his head and stared at the golden beast's shadow, roaring, "Show your true appearance." Croak. Immediately, a frog's croak resounded like thunder, shaking all directions. Qin Feiyong and Crazy were surprised. Wasn't it the roar of a beast? Why did it suddenly become a frog's croak? In the next moment, under the two's incredulous gazes, the blurry outline of the golden figure quickly solidified. Very quickly, a huge golden frog appeared in the sky. It was as huge as a mountain, covered with golden scales like dragon scales. The beast aura emitted from its body was even more unparalleled. This is... Qin Feiyong and Crazy looked at the frog. Their hearts set off stormy waves. Wasn't this the golden small beast, the sky-swallowing beast? That's right. The white-eyed wolf's battle soul in front of them looked exactly the same as the golden small beast. Even their gazes and postures seemed to have been carved from the same mold. What was going on? Why was the white-eyed wolf's battle soul the sky-swallowing beast? In the past, when they saw the white-eyed wolf's battle soul, they had always been very curious. What kind of beast was this to have such a terrifying innate superpower? But because the outline of the battle soul was very blurry in the past, they couldn't distinguish it. However, they never expected that the battle soul that clearly appeared at this moment was their mortal enemy, the sky-swallowing beast. What is his relationship with the sky-swallowing beast? The monarch, the divine king, the human race's sovereign Lu Jijin, and the inner demons were all stunned by this sudden scene. Needless to say, the inner demons and Lu Jijin had already seen the golden small beast when they were on the 2nd level of the miracle. And the monarch, the divine king, the human race's sovereign, had also witnessed the ice dragon and the small beast when they came to the divine kingdom to rescue Qin Feiyong and the others. At that time, the strength that the small beast displayed was simply despairing. Even all these years, whenever they recalled that scene, they couldn't help but break out in a cold sweat. Because that was an existence that even their divine kingdom's sovereign was afraid of. But now, the white-eyed wolf's battle soul was actually the sky-swallowing beast. This made them begin to suspect the relationship between the white-eyed wolf and the sky-swallowing beast. At the same time, Dong Xian, the 2 men, and 1 woman looked at the sky-swallowing beast that had revealed its true appearance, and their faces were full of shock. Although the 4th innate superpower had not appeared yet, an ominous premonition had already risen in their hearts. In the blink of an eye, Dong Xian's 7 ultimate mysteries had already arrived in front of the white-eyed wolf and the golden beast. Her life was at stake. However, the white-eyed wolf was not afraid in the face of danger, and he laughed sinisterly. Open your eyes wide and see what a truly heaven-defying technique is. 4th innate superpower, swallow. The sky-swallowing beast battle soul opened its bloody mouth. Suddenly, a violent wind blew in this world. Immediately, The 7 ultimate mysteries flew uncontrollably toward the bloody mouth. How is this possible? Dong Exine was dumbfounded. This was her ultimate mysteries. But at this moment, she was unable to control these 7 ultimate mysteries, and could only watch as the 7 ultimate mysteries flew into the bloody mouth. At the instant when the 7 ultimate mysteries flew into that enormous mouth, the crowd present were all stunned. 7 ultimate mysteries that contained the will of the heavenly way. But after entering the bloody mouth, they didn't even cause the slightest disturbance, and were directly swallowed by the sky-swallowing beast battle soul. The 7 ultimate mysteries disappeared just like that, as if they had never existed from the beginning to the end. Chapter 42-26. Everyone's hearts were in turmoil. In an instant, he had devoured 7 ultimate profundities of supreme laws, and they were even ultimate profundities that contained the will of the heavenly Tao. Wasn't this like cheating? It's too similar, too similar. Lunatic murmured. Qin Feiyong nodded. Back then, when he comprehended the ultimate law of life and death, the golden small beast appeared and swallowed the heavenly tribulation in one gulp. It could only be described as shocking. Despair and tremble. The white-eyed wolf laughed and roared. Continue to swallow. The battle soul opened its mouth wide. The force that enveloped the white-eyed wolf and sealed him also flew toward the mouth. It can even swallow this? Dong Xian's eyes widened in anger. My battle soul is omnipotent. The white-eyed wolf was domineering. With the disappearance of this power, the sealed power, divine power, and law energy erupted like a volcano. This is impossible, I must be dreaming. Dong Xian shook her head. Her face was filled with disbelief. Go to hell. The white-eyed wolf smiled and 6 ultimate laws appeared, shattering the void and the earth as he charged toward Dong Xian. You want to kill me? You don't have the ability. Dong Xian also became ferocious. She activated the 7 ultimate laws again and charged forward aggressively. Don't you understand? As long as the 4th special ability is activated, all your methods will be meaningless. Swallow. The white-eyed wolf roared, and the 7 ultimate mysteries flew uncontrollably toward the bloody maw. However, they disappeared into the bloody maw in an instant, not causing any waves at all. But the white-eyed wolf's 6 ultimate laws were still there. Dong Xian was at a loss of what to do when she saw the 6 profound meanings rushing toward her. Her biggest trump card was the sealed god domain. But now, the sealed god domain could not seal the white-eyed wolf's divine force, power and law force. In other words, she could only take a beating now. Golden-winged wolf king. If you have the ability, let's not activate our domains or fighting souls. Let's fight fair and square. She let out a hysterical roar. Are you stupid? Aren't we fighting openly now? The white-eyed wolf laughed contemptuously. Dong Xian was stunned as an indescribable sense of shame rose in her heart. That's right. This was an open and honorable battle. But she still said that, didn't it mean that she was now desperate? What a disgrace. But now she truly had no other choice. She could only watch as the 6 ultimates came at her. Don't give up. But suddenly, a shout was heard. The next moment, along with the terrifying aura, several ultimates appeared and attacked the white-eyed wolf's fighting soul at lightning speed. Too fast. It was too sudden. No one could react in time, including the white-eyed wolf. Along with a loud explosion, several ultimates shot out, shattering the white-eyed wolf's fighting soul. The person who made the move was none other than the young man who was brimming with killing intent. Bastard, you're courting death. Frenzy was stunned as he stared at the young man. Afraid of you? The young man was not afraid at all as he looked at Frenzy provocatively. Below, looking at the white-eyed wolf's fighting soul being shattered, Dong Xian's eyes were filled with killing intent. This was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Go to hell. With a loud roar, the 7 ultimates appeared once again, bringing with them the power to destroy the world. Without the fighting soul, the white-eyed wolf would not be able to devour her 7 ultimates. 7 ultimates against 6 ultimates. Wasn't this a one-sided battle? Boom! The white-eyed wolf's 6 ultimates were destroyed on the spot. Following that, he suffered a fatal blow as his huge body fell to the ground, covered in blood and flesh. The final winner is Mimi. Dong Xian laughed. It's you. Don't joke around. If I want to kill someone, even a heaven god can't stop me. The white-eyed wolf laughed sinisterly as his injured body leaped up and pounced on Dong Xian. He opened his mouth wide, revealing his dense fangs as he tore Dong Xian's body apart. With a shrill scream, Dong Xian's divine soul escaped and flew toward the two men and the woman without looking back. Her expression was filled with fear. This was simply a lunatic. Hee. The white-eyed wolf stood proudly on the broken ground as he stared at the fleeing Dong Xian. There was blood at the corner of his mouth, and there were pieces of flesh hanging from his fangs. He looked extremely terrifying. He really looked like a hungry wolf that wanted to devour people. Terrifying. Truly terrifying. Even if I'm seriously injured, I can't be careless. The two men and the woman were also greatly shocked. This was the first time they had seen such a crazy person, no, a wolf. This was the first time they had seen such a crazy wolf. Even if someone helps you, you can't win. Do you understand? The white-eyed wolf stared at Dong Xian's divine soul and laughed. Then, as if he had lost all his strength, he fell to the ground. The madman's expression darkened as he took a step forward and landed in front of the white-eyed wolf. He checked the white-eyed wolf's injuries and heaved a sigh of relief. He was only seriously injured and unconscious. There was no danger to his life. Then, he hugged the white-eyed wolf and rolled up the pair of golden wings that had been torn off. He rushed to Qin Feiyong and said, "Send him to the Black Tortoise world to heal." Qin Feiyong nodded. With a wave of his hand, the white-eyed wolf and the pair of golden wings disappeared. With the mermaid princess around, no matter how serious the injuries were, it didn't matter. However, the young man's actions had completely infuriated them. Whoosh! The madman turned around and took a step forward. He pointed at the young man and a murderous aura erupted from his body. It was as if he had transformed into a demon king. "Come and accept your death." The other young man glanced at the madman and said in a low voice, "Dongping, be careful. Don't worry. I won't underestimate him." Dongping glanced at Dong Xian. This was the price of underestimating the other party. And they absolutely couldn't lose this battle. Otherwise the peerless geniuses of the Central Dynasty would really become a joke. Whoosh! Dongping took a step forward and landed in front of the madman. Boom! The powerful auras of the two surged out at the same time and collided in the air. Just the collision of their auras caused the entire place to turn dark. "You like to interfere, huh? I'll cripple this pair of dog paws first." The madman laughed angrily and raised his hand to punch. "Let's see if you have the ability to do so." Dongping's blood-red hair fluttered as he punched without dodging. Boom! The two fists collided with a loud bang. The moment they collided, a terrifying wave of blood roared out. This was the madman's power of all evil. One must know. The power of a casual punch from the madman was comparable to the ultimate esoteric law. With a crisp crack, Dongping's arm shattered on the spot. The intense pain caused Dongping to howl miserably. The madman's eyes were blood-red as he took the opportunity to grab Dongping's other arm and roared. "This is the price of meddling in other people's business." With a furious roar, he suddenly exerted force and tore off Dongping's arm. Blood flowed out from the wound. "This is the power of all evil? So fierce." The inner demons whispered. "This power is very similar to the power of the god race mark." However, just the power of all evil alone shouldn't be able to defeat Dongping. Lu Jijin scanned the battlefield. The white-eyed wolf's strength was already obvious to all, so how strong was this madman? It was really exciting. Battlefield. Dongping looked at the wounds on his shoulders. The intense pain made his face look particularly ferocious at this moment. However, he wasn't worried or nervous because of this. Instead, a crazy smile crept up on his face. Undead domain open. Suddenly, with a low shout, a bloody light emerged. In an instant, a blood-red barrier appeared around his body. It was only half a foot long. Like the sealed god domain, there were mysterious blood-red runes floating inside. Undead domain? Qin Feiyong frowned. Could it be one of the so-called 5 great domains? Without waiting for everyone to react, an astonishing scene appeared. The moment the undead domain opened, Dongping's two lost arms began to reconstruct immediately. In the blink of an eye, the two arms were regenerated. Looking again, there were no scars at all. How is this possible? Whether it was the king and the other two, or the inner demons, their hearts were filled with shock. The so-called undead domain, could it be a domain that couldn't be killed? Now you know. I am not someone you can shake. In my eyes, you are just an ant struggling with all your might. Dongping stared at the madman and smiled. Streaks of ultimate meaning appeared, and the will of heaven surged, erupting with monstrous power. It was also the ultimate meaning of the 7 strongest laws. This was the strength of the 5 unparalleled geniuses of the Central Dynasty. Almost every one of them was in existence on the level of the king, the divine king, or the supreme. In order to cultivate them, the king of the Central Dynasty must have spent a lot of effort. In this way, if he killed them, the king of the Central Dynasty would definitely be heartbroken. The madman's killing intent was brewing. Boom! The 7 ultimate meanings suddenly attacked, and the terrifying aura annihilated the sky. An ant wants to compete with the sun and moon. Do you think it is possible? The madman's face was full of disdain. Boom! His 7-foot body emitted a bloody light and instantly turned into a 10,000-foot-tall giant. He can change his color? The inner demons were surprised. When you and little cousin were in seclusion, I inquired about the madman's situation. It seems that this is the true body of the Blood Demon King in his previous life, Lu Jiajin explained. So that's the case. I thought he was the same as us. So he's a monster. The inner demons were surprised. Lu Jiajin rolled his eyes. Who would say that about their companions? On the battlefield, the madman activated the 2 ultimate meanings of the law of death and the law of space. The will of heaven and the seal of all evil erupted at the same time. The terrifying aura he emitted instantly soared to an unprecedented level. In an instant, their ultimate power Upanishads collided. Madman, on the other hand, had used only 2 ultimate profundities to crush Dongping's 7 ultimate profundities. This was the strength of the power of all evil. The madman who possessed the power of all evil was equivalent to having 2 wills of heaven. He is indeed very strong. In the sky, the man and woman whispered. Such strength was already invincible in the same realm. Humph! No matter how strong he is, he will still die in front of Dongping. Dong Xian's divine soul sneered. Her eyes were filled with killing intent and resentment. Chapter 42:27. So confident? When Qin Feiyong heard Dong Xian's words, he frowned slightly and lowered his head to look at Dongping. What kind of ability does this person have? Boom! The madman's 2 ultimate profound meanings crushed Dongping's 7 ultimate profound meanings as easily as crushing dry weeds and smashing rotten wood, drowning Dongping. Dongping's physical body continued to shatter. Blood continued to spurt out. However, even so, the undying domain did not collapse. The blood runes inside did not disappear either. As Dongping was about to be destroyed, the crimson runes emitted a blinding crimson glow. However, Dongping managed to reconstruct his flesh in the blink of an eye. Looking again, apart from the blood all over his body, there was no trace of injury. Impossible! Madman was stunned. The power of 10,000 evil plus the will of the heavenly Tao couldn't kill Dongping? What a familiar scene! Qin Feiyong whispered. Such a situation seemed familiar. Wait a minute. Zhuge Mingyang. That's right. It was Zhuge Mingyang. Back then, Zhuge Mingyang mastered the undying demon technique and couldn't be killed. Not only could he not be killed, but he also became stronger every time he died. At that time, in order to completely get rid of Zhuge Mingyang, they spent a lot of effort. Boom! Just as Qin Feiyong was surprised, Dongping once again activated the 7 ultimates and the will of the heavenly Tao erupted. This time, the power released by the 7 ultimates was obviously stronger than before. Could it be that even this is the same? Qin Feiyong was shocked. Every time Dongping was seriously injured, the power of the ultimates would become stronger? If that was the case, then how powerful would Dongping's final ultimates be? It was hard to imagine. He really became an unkillable cockroach? Madman raised his brows. He really didn't believe it. Boom! The 6 ultimates were all activated. the will of the heavenly Tao and the seal of all evil combined, erupting with a destructive aura. Shatter for me. With a roar, the 6 ultimate mysteries shot out furiously. This time Dongping was even more direct. He did not counterattack. Instead, he took the initiative to open his hand and welcome the descent of the 6 ultimate mysteries. His eyes were filled with disdain for the madman. Rumble. The 6 ultimates attacked, and Dongping's body was shattered again. The undying domain also collapsed. Madman was overjoyed. That was all there was to it. However, in the next moment his body stiffened and he was about to go crazy. Although the undying domain had collapsed, the blood-colored runes inside did not disappear. Instead, they had all fused with Dongping's flesh. This is the true face of the undying domain. As long as the runes fuse with Dongping, he will truly have an immortal body. Dong Xian sneered. As expected. In the blink of an eye, Dongping's shattered fleshly body was reformed. Boom! Furthermore, after he activated the 7 ultimate profundities, his power increased by another level. Not good. Senior brother. Doing this will only make him stronger and stronger. Qin Feiyong said in a deep voice. Madman looked at Qin Feiyong in surprise. This undying domain is very similar to Zhuge Mingyang's undying demon technique. As long as there is a bit of flesh, even a strand of hair, it can quickly regenerate. If you want to kill him, you must have absolute strength to instantly destroy his body and soul. Otherwise, it will be useless. Qin Feiyong transmitted his voice. So that's how it is. Madman's heart sank. Although he had never seen Zhuge Mingyang with his own eyes, he had been with Qin Feiyong and the others for so many years. He had also heard of Zhuge Mingyang's situation from them. So that's how it is. It seems that he will be in for a bitter battle. Because now, he had revealed almost all of his strength. 6 ultimate profundities will of heaven power of all evil. However, even so, he still couldn't kill Dongping. What does this mean? It means he indeed didn't have the ability to instantly destroy Dongping's body and soul. The most terrifying thing was, for ordinary people, no matter how strong they are, as long as their sea of qi and soul are severely damaged, their combat power will decline. But this Dongping relied on the undying domain. Even if you destroy his sea of qi and soul, he can quickly come back from the dead. In short, all your efforts will be in vain in the end. If one's mind is firm, then it's still fine and won't collapse. But if one's state of mind isn't stable, facing such a situation, one will gradually become discouraged, powerless, desperate, and eventually collapse and give up. So fighting with someone like Dongping is not only a physical burden, but also a test of one's mental and willpower. Come on. What means do you have? Come at me. Dongping laughed. Madman was silent. If he can't kill him, he will become stronger and stronger instead. This caused him to not dare to act rashly, because the current Dongping must be eager for him to kill him. Why? Don't dare to make a move? Afraid that I will become stronger and stronger? Haha, if you don't make a move, I will. Let's see how long you can last. Dongping laughed wildly. His bloody hair danced in the air like the reincarnation of a demon king. Bang! The next moment, 7 ultimate profound meanings charged at Madman. Madman activated instant time and didn't dare to fight head-on. He kept dodging as he thought of a countermeasure. If you continue like this, you can only take a beating. So you better go all out. Dongping took a step forward. He also mastered the law of time. Instant time was used to the limit as he punched at Madman. Bang! Madman spurted out a mouthful of blood as his face turned pale. His entire body was like a meteorite as he smashed into the ground below. Bastard! This made Madman furious. He leaped up and instantly rushed into the sky. 6 ultimate profound meanings roared out, carrying the power to destroy the world as they charged at Dongping. Yes, that's it. This way I can become stronger. Dongping laughed wildly. He actually took the initiative to face the 6 ultimate profound meanings. With a loud bang, Dongping's body shattered. But the next moment he was reborn. With the activation of the ultimate profound meaning, the power he emitted was almost catching up to Madman. One has to know. The combination of Madman's will of heaven and the power of all evil, how terrifying was that? But now, with just a few serious injuries, The lethality of Dongping's ultimate profound was almost catching up to Madman. Although it was similar to the Undying Demon technique, the entire Undying domain was many times stronger than the Undying Demon technique. Back then, how did you guys kill Zhuge Mingyang? Madman roared. Even with his temperament, he couldn't help but feel upset at this moment. There was no way to continue the fight. Back then, Zhuge Mingyang was killed by Big Cousin. Big Cousin used his overwhelming strength to burn him to ashes. Qin Feiyong transmitted his voice. That's only possible if you have overwhelming strength. Madman was dumbfounded. The key point was that he didn't have the strength to suppress Dongping. Could it be that he was going to lose here? That would be too shameful. No. If he really lost here, he would definitely be laughed at by the white-eyed wolf. Don't be polite, continue. Dongping laughed maniacally. His strengthened 7 ultimate profound meanings shattered the sky as he charged at Madman. This was forcing Madman to make a move. Chapter 42-28. This is bad. Lunatic is really in danger. In the distance, the king muttered. Yes. Who would have thought that Dongping would have such a heaven-defying method? 5 domains, 5 peerless geniuses. Could it be that the 5 peerless geniuses of the Central Dynasty are the owners of the 5 domains? The Divine King was surprised. That's possible. Otherwise, why would these people be so confident in front of Qin Feiyong and the others? The God-sealing domain has the ability to seal divine power, and the power of laws. The Undying domain allows Dongping to have an undying body. If these 2 domains are so powerful, what about the other 3? What kind of heaven-defying power do they have? The human race's supremacy murmured. It was unimaginable. Why were the young people of this generation more and more powerful? Even these people of the older generation couldn't help but feel fear in their hearts. Why didn't the Ice Dragon tell us that there are 5 domains in the world? On the other side, the inner demons turned to look at Lu Jijin and frowned. Then you'll have to ask him. Speaking of which, we're also responsible. After hiding in the Central Dynasty for so many years, we didn't get such important information. Lu Jijin sighed. Everyone in the Central Dynasty knew about the 5 peerless geniuses. But only the Emperor of the Central Dynasty had seen the 5 peerless geniuses. Of course, the sovereign of the Divine King must have seen them. In fact, Lu Jijin had been looking for information about the 5 peerless geniuses in the Central Dynasty, but he couldn't find a chance. It could only be said that the Emperor was too good at keeping secrets. The inner demons glanced at Dong Exine and the others and frowned. 5 peerless geniuses, why are there only 4? Where's the other one? Hearing this, Lu Jijin's heart skipped a beat and quickly looked around. That's right. Where's the other one? It can't be that only 4 came. Could the other one be hiding somewhere and secretly watching the battlefield? On the battlefield, the mad scientist was completely suppressed. His 10,000 feet tall body was covered in blood. The situation he was facing now was that he didn't dare to act rashly, which made him extremely sullen. Don't hesitate. If you don't fight back, you'll die. It wouldn't be worth it to die just like that. Dongping laughed loudly, and his arrogance grew more and more arrogant. That disdainful gaze was as if he was looking at an ant that was constantly struggling to survive. Senior brother, you must calm down. Qin Feiyong muttered. Now was not the time to panic. Because once one's mind was in chaos, a disaster would inevitably befall them. But to be honest, even he couldn't think of any way to deal with Dongping. Of course, his own strength was definitely enough. The law of life and death, 6 supreme laws, 2 wills of the heavenly Tao, and 3,000 incarnations. With all these means added together, he could easily kill Dongping, not giving him a chance to be reborn. But now Dongping was no match for him. Qin Feiyong was well aware of the madman's methods. It was almost impossible to defeat Dongping unless a miracle or an unforeseen event occurred. In the sky, dark clouds covered the sky. It was like the eve of a storm. After experiencing 2 great battles, the ground here had long been damaged beyond recognition. Do you know what you look like now? Dongping laughed out loud and shamelessly humiliated him. Now you're just like a turtle, shrinking your neck and running away like a rat. Trash, like you can only be arrogant in the 4 great continents. If you go to our Central Dynasty, you're worse than a dog. Hearing this, the madman suddenly raised his head and looked at Dongping. A dog should also live with some dignity. But now you don't even have the least bit of dignity. How pitiful. Why don't you wag your tail at me now? Maybe I will be magnanimous and spare your dog life? Dongping's face was full of ridicule. He was deliberately angering the madman. Because if the madman kept avoiding the battle, it would be quite difficult for him to kill the madman. After all, the madman also had instant time. But if he could anger the madman and make him attack with all his strength, he only needed to be seriously injured once more. Then his 7 ultimate mysteries would be able to compete with the madman's power of all evil and will of the heavenly Tao. In this way, the chances of killing the madman would be greater. He got what he wanted. The madman was completely enraged. Thinking back, when and where had he suffered such humiliation? Boom! The power of the 6 ultimate mysteries, will of the heavenly Tao, and all evil seal erupted. A terrifying aura and monstrous fury swept through the world. Not good. Qin Feiyong clenched his fists and was ready to rescue the madman at any time. Yes, that's it. This is the demeanor a man should have. Come. Don't hold back and kill me. As long as you can kill me, you will have the ability to sweep through the divine kingdom. Dongping laughed wildly and faced the madman's 6 ultimate mysteries. I'll fulfill your wish. The madman laughed. His voice was like a demon from hell, making one's heart involuntarily feel a chill. In the next moment, a bloody wound appeared between his eyebrows. Battle Soul, blood eye open. Dongping's arrogant attitude suddenly froze. His body, from his feet to his head, began to petrify. That's right. As long as this person is petrified, his undying domain will collapse. Looking at this scene, Qin Feiyong was shocked. Whether it was the profound laws, battle soul, or domain, they all needed to be controlled by one's consciousness. If Dongping was petrified, he would naturally lose consciousness. After losing consciousness, the undying domain would automatically close. Without the undying domain, wouldn't Dongping be a lamb waiting to be slaughtered? From this, it could be seen that although the madman was angry, he had not lost his mind. The petrification process was not fast. After all, Dongping's strength was right in front of him. However, it was much faster than the white-eyed wolf, depriving him of his cultivation and dharma laws. In a short while, Dongping's entire head entered a petrified state. Naive. Right at this moment, Dongping's voice could be heard. This was the voice of the divine soul. In other words, although his head was petrified, the divine soul inside had not been petrified. As his voice fell, a mighty force of law surged out and forcefully cut off the madman's petrification. Subsequently, he once again broke through the air and faced the 6 ultimate mysteries. Boom! Accompanied by a loud bang, Dongping's body shattered. Qin Feiyong, the monarch, Lu Jijin, and the inner demons couldn't help but twitch their eyelids when they saw this scene. In the next moment, Dongping was reborn again and said in ecstasy, "The real battle has just begun." Boom! The 7 ultimate mysteries roared out, emitting a divine aura that was on par with the madman's ultimate mysteries. Come on. You have no choice, go all out and fight. Dongping let out a long roar and charged towards the madman with the 7 ultimate mysteries. Chapter 42-29. Madman's eyes flashed with a cold light as he activated his 6 ultimate mysteries and charged forward. As expected, accompanied by an enormous rumbling sound, each of Dongping's 7 ultimates was comparable to the madman's ultimates. One must know, madman had activated the will of the heavenly Tao and the seal of all evil at the same time. In other words, madman's seal of all evil no longer had any advantage. Not only did he not have any advantage, he was also at a disadvantage. Because he only had 6 ultimate mysteries while Dongping had 7, he had an absolute advantage in terms of numbers. Boom! There was no suspense. Dongping's 7 ultimate profundities smashed through madman's 6 ultimate profundities. The next moment, madman suffered a fatal injury. His entire body was dripping with blood as he smashed into the ground below, his face pale. How is it? Now you know how terrifying I am. Do you feel despair? Dongping laughed. As his voice fell, he seemed to have transformed into a god of death as he charged towards madman. Seeing this, Qin Feiyong put down his teacup as a murderous aura spread out from his body. The man and woman next to Dong Exine immediately looked at Qin Feiyong with a trace of vigilance in their eyes. "Old Qin, sit properly for me, there's no need for you to interfere." Madman also felt Qin Feiyong's aura and immediately raised his head and shouted. Immediately after, he got up, blood dripping from the corner of his mouth as he gritted his teeth. "Believe me, I will definitely not lose." Looking at Madman's firm eyes, Qin Feiyong took a deep breath and picked up his teacup again. He calmed down and drank his tea while silently watching the battle. "In my previous life I have already lost to your divine kingdom once. So in this life I must not lose again." Madman stared at Dong Ping and roared as waves of blood surged out from his body. This was the aura of all evil. He was the embodiment of all evil, dominating all evil in the world. The aura of all evil enveloped the entire area. Dong Ping immediately felt that this aura of all evil was crazily drilling into his body, devouring his divine soul, divine power, law power, and even his bloodline. What kind of monster is this? Dong Ping couldn't help but frown. As one of the 5 unparalleled geniuses, he was naturally experienced and knowledgeable. However, at this moment, the madman's evil power was something he had never seen before. In other words, he had never seen such a terrifying evil force before. It was no exaggeration to say that, as long as a living being did not possess the will of the heavenly Tao, they would not be able to resist this evil power. Furthermore, in a trance, he sensed a dangerous aura from the madman. This made him want to end the battle as soon as possible, because Dong Exine was a good example. No, speaking of which, the madman was even more unpredictable than the white-eyed wolf. This was because the white-eyed wolf's 4th innate ability had existed for a long time, but he had never revealed it. Thus, regardless of whether Dong Exine had been careless or not, her defeat was already set in stone the moment the battle began. But a lunatic was different. The madman had indeed reached the end of his road. The reason why he was able to continue fighting was because of his unyielding spirit. In battle, such people were the most terrifying, because you didn't know what would happen in the next moment. If he accidentally stimulated the other party's potential and comprehended some peerless killing technique, he would instead become the other party's training stone. Thus, ending the battle quickly and ending the other party's life as soon as possible was the wisest choice. "If I send you to hell now, even the heavenly king won't be able to save you," Dong Ping roared. The 7 ultimate laws carried monstrous killing intent as they crazily attacked. "Then come and try." The madman's roar resounded through the sky. The 6 ultimate ultimates and the force of 10,000 evil turned into a torrent that devoured the sky and collided with the 7 ultimate ultimates. Accompanied by an earth-shaking explosion, the 13 ultimate laws and the power of all evil shattered at the same time in the void, erupting with a destructive aura that spread in all directions. How is this possible? In the sky, Dong Exine and the other 2 were stunned. That power of all evil was actually able to compete with an ultimate law that contained the will of the heavenly Tao? Dong Ping had 7 ultimate profound meanings. The madman had 6 ultimate laws. There was a difference of 1. In other words, the power of all evil filled the gap of 1 ultimate law. One must know, although the madman's power of all evil was powerful, it was only equivalent to the lethality of a low-level sovereign weapon. The lethality of a low-level sovereign weapon didn't contain the will of the heavenly Tao. If it was an ultimate law that contained the will of the heavenly Tao, the low-level sovereign weapon would only be crushed. In other words, the madman's power of all evil was only able to compete with an ultimate law that didn't contain the will of the heavenly Tao. But now, the lethality of this power of all evil was actually able to compete with an ultimate law that contained the will of the heavenly Tao. What did this mean? It meant, at this moment, the lethality of the power of all evil had increased by a large margin. Is this a miracle? Qin Feiyong murmured. It seemed that Dong Ping's suppression had indeed stimulated his senior brother's potential. He wanted to seek a breakthrough in battle. This is impossible. Dong Ping was dumbfounded on the spot. The previous power of all evil wasn't even this strong. How did it increase by so much? Could it be that what he was worried about would really happen? He would become the madman's training stone and help the madman comprehend a peerless killing technique? No. This kind of thing is absolutely not allowed to happen. Dongping's face turned sinister. If such a thing really happened, then he would definitely become the laughingstock of the world. No matter what means you have, you will die, you will die. He was like a mad beast. His 7 ultimate profundities appeared out of nowhere. Then, he charged furiously at Madman with his 7 ultimate profundities. You don't have the ability. The madman laughed. Although he was extremely weak, his spirit of never admitting defeat, that unyielding fighting spirit, was like a demon god, making others revere him. Boom! The power of all evil and the 6 ultimate laws shattered heaven and earth. However, just as they were about to collide, a sneer crept up Dongping's face. The 7 ultimate mysteries instantly dissipated. The madman was shocked. What was this person trying to do? But in the next moment, he understood Dongping's intention. Dongping was actually using his flesh and blood to crash into the power of all evil and the 6 ultimate laws. How could a mere body of flesh and blood be a match for the power of all evil and the 6 ultimate laws? Dongping's body shattered on the spot and blood splattered across the sky. But, did you think he was dead? No. He wasn't dead. He was borrowing the madman's power of all evil and the 6 ultimate laws to once again increase his strength. It can still be increased? Qin Feiyong's brows were tightly knitted. Could it be that this undying domain was as limitless as the slaughter domain? Haha, what a stupid guy. A terrifying fluctuation collapsed this part of heaven and earth. It was also at this moment that a maniacal laughter suddenly rang out from the collapsing void. Following closely, a blood-colored figure appeared in the void in front of him. Blood hair fluttered and a murderous aura filled the sky. If it wasn't Dongping, who else could it be? The undying domain allowed him to be reborn again. Looking at the lively Dongping, the madman's face was gloomy to the extreme. Can he really not be killed? No. It must be possible. The madman roared in his heart, and with a surging aura, he rushed into the sky and charged towards Dongping. The current, you can't even be considered an ant. Experience what true despair is. Dongping laughed sinisterly. The 7 ultimate laws appeared, and along with the eruption of the will of the heavenly Tao, the terrifying divine might had already surpassed the madman. Senior brother, Qin Feiyong whispered, his heart filled with worry. Although he was willing to believe in the madman, the current Dongping's combat strength was too terrifying. Moreover, if he was unable to kill Dongping in an instant, his combat strength would soar. This was equivalent to a bottomless abyss, enough to make anyone despair. In an instant, the madman and Dongping once again clashed. Dongping, who had become stronger once again, was like a god descending to the mortal world, crushing over and directly smashing the madman into the ground. The madman's body was torn apart on the spot. I want to see if you're still not dead. Dongping's face was sinister as the power of law poured out, turning into a torrent that covered the sky. With a loud bang, the madman was drowned. Qin Feiyong suddenly stood up and stared at the ground below. The madman was drowned by the power of law, and his figure could no longer be seen. But he could sense the madman's aura. His aura was rapidly dissipating. Don't make a move. Suddenly, the madman's weak voice sounded in Qin Feiyong's mind. Still not allowing me to make a move? Qin Feiyong frowned. What did he want to do? However, since it was the madman's own request, he could only comply and return to his seat again, but his heart was extremely perturbed. Facing such a situation, could his senior brother survive? Go to hell, go to hell. Dongping was like a madman as the power of law crazily bombarded down. The ground collapsed and the abyss was densely covered. Dust and smoke shrouded the world. Suddenly, Qin Feiyong's eyelids twitched. The madman's life fluctuations had actually completely dissipated. What did this mean? It meant that the madman's soul might have been destroyed. He suddenly couldn't help but clench his hands. His heart was filled with regret. He should have decisively made a move and not listened to his senior brother. Haha, Dongping laughed loudly. Finally, this disaster was solved. Dong Xian and the other two also revealed a smile on their faces. Looking at the king and the other two, Lu Jiajin and Dongping were also like Qin Feiyong. Their hands tightly clenched together. The madman who dominated the Sky Cloud realm and the Divine Kingdom had fallen just like that? Qin Feiyang closed his eyes, suppressing the grief and anger in his heart. His eyes suddenly opened, and two blood-red murderous auras burst out. Dong Exine and the other three were shocked and immediately turned to look at Qin Feiyang. "All of you come together." Qin Feiyang got up and said coldly. "Arrogant." The four were furious. Even if there were 3,000 incarnations, the eye of heaven, and the law of life and death, one shouldn't be so rampant. Chapter 42:30. The battle was about to begin. However, at this moment, an arrogant and unyielding laugh echoed throughout the area. "This is..." Qin Feiyang's eyes trembled as he quickly scanned the void. That's right. This was the laughter of the madman. But how is this possible? The life fluctuations of the madman had already disappeared. So why was there still his laughter? At the same time, Dong Ping's group of 4, the king's group of 3, and Lu Zhijin's group were all looking at the void in bewilderment. However, looking around, they didn't see the figure of the madman at all. Only that laughter continued to reverberate between heaven and earth, not dissipating for a long time. "I still have to thank you this time." The voice was even clearer, but they couldn't capture the location, as if it was a ghost-like existence. "Who is pretending to be a ghost? Get out here for me." Dong Ping roared. "Not dead. Don't joke around." The life fluctuations had already disappeared. How could he still be alive? So he was certain that someone must be playing tricks. Haha, the laughter of the madman sounded again, ethereal and uncertain. At the next moment, a strange scene appeared. With this battlefield as the center, evil aura from all directions crazily rushed over here. There was evil aura, evil aura. In short, all kinds of evil forces were gathering here at this moment. Even at this moment, Qin Feiyang and the others could clearly feel that the murderous aura and evil aura lurking in their bodies were uncontrollably breaking out of their bodies. What's going on? Several of them were bewildered. It was as if there was an invisible force that was frantically extracting the murderous aura and evil aura from their bodies. "In the name of the madman, I summon all the evil forces in the world, shape the true body of all evil, and display the might of all evil." The madman's voice sounded again, bringing with it a great majesty. At this moment, Qin Feiyang and the others felt as if they had fallen into a bottomless abyss, and they couldn't help but feel fear in their hearts. Rumble! In the sky, lightning flashed and thunder rumbled. Blood-red clouds rolled over, and bolts of blood-red lightning roared in all directions. When one looked up, it was like a sea of blood was at the peak of the sky, as if a peerless demon king was about to be born. Moreover, the evil aura coming from all directions became more and more terrifying. At this moment, if someone was standing at the peak of the clouds, they would definitely be able to see a shocking scene. The sky above the western continent was filled with blood-red energy. This was the power of evil. In other words, at this moment, all the evil forces in the western continent were surging toward them. In the end, these evil forces all gathered at the top of the sky dome, turning into a sea of blood that dyed the void and the land blood-red. What's going on? Dong Ping was seething with anger. Could it be that the madman's potential had been stimulated and he had comprehended some kind of peerless killing technique? No! He suddenly let out a roar, and the 7 ultimate profound meanings appeared. They carried a monstrous might as they charged towards the sea of blood in the sky. However, when the 7 ultimate profundities charged into the blood sea, they were actually devoured by the blood sea. Everyone was dumbfounded. Dong Ping's current combat strength was obvious to all. With his current 7 ultimate profundities, he could kill anyone in an instant. But now, they were all engulfed by that evil power. This was too terrifying. What was going on? Look! Suddenly, the Divine King exclaimed as he stared at the center of the sea of blood. In the center of the sea of blood, a palm-sized imprint gradually appeared. This is the seal of all evil. Qin Feiyang was shocked. Although this imprint was relatively large, it was exactly the same as the madman's previous seal of all evil. In other words, the madman was really not dead. This seal of all evil was now his incarnation. In this world, the power of evil is everywhere. As long as there is a wisp of evil power, even if I am immortal, the heavenly Tao will not be able to erase my divine soul. all evil true body be born. The madman's voice sounded again, like the voice of the heavenly Tao, shaking all directions. The next moment, at the top of the sky dome, all the evil forces surged towards the seal of all evil like a tide. It was like a bottomless pit, absorbing as much as it came. Blood thunder rumbled, deafening. But it was not a heavenly tribulation, but the phenomenon of the birth of a demon king. I don't believe it. Die for me. Dongping roared like a madman. The 7 ultimate mysteries evolved again and charged towards the sky. He must not let this person succeed. However, before the 7 ultimate mysteries could reach the sky, a blood-red giant sword appeared at the top of the sky with a clang, emitting an incomparable evil aura. A mere ant dares to challenge the god of all evil. You really don't know what death is. The next moment, accompanied by a cruel laughter, a blood-red-haired youth walked out of the sea of blood, surrounded by blood chi, as if he was a god of death that walked out of hell. It was the madman. He really didn't die. Dong Xian and the other two's eyes trembled. Now, not only was the madman unharmed, the aura emitted from his body made them feel fear. I am the ruler of all evil. I will kill all gods and Buddhas that block my path, destroy them for me. The madman looked down at Dongping and waved his hand. The blood-red giant sword floating in the sky instantly tore through the sky and slashed towards the 7 ultimate mysteries. Accompanied by a loud bang, under everyone's incredulous gazes, Dongping's 7 ultimate mysteries were instantly shattered, even more fragile than dead wood. This is too strong. He actually broke the limit of the ultimate mysteries. Everyone present trembled both physically and mentally. This was too heaven-defying. This power was comparable to the sword of faith. No, this can't be real. I don't believe it. Dongping shook his head. This must be a dream. Even if it was a peerless killing technique, it was impossible to surpass the limit of the ultimate mysteries. Clang! Just as Dongping was distracted, the sword of all evil slashed over. Dongping came back to his senses and hurriedly activated momentary time, turned around and ran. But even so, a few sword chi swept over and his body was torn apart on the spot. Undying domain. In the nick of time, Dongping roared and his body instantly reassembled. After being seriously injured again, his combat strength increased by another level. However, even so, facing the sword of all evil, he could still feel a fatal crisis. There was no suspense. Even if his combat strength increased by a few more levels, he was afraid that he would not be able to defeat the demonic power of the sword of all evil. Despair? But I really have to thank you. If it weren't for you crazily suppressing me, I wouldn't have been able to form the true body of all evil. Madman laughed again and again. His brows were also filled with excitement. It was really a blessing in disguise. In the past, he could only control the power of all evil. But now, after forming the true body of all evil, not only could he control all the evil forces in the world, but he could also form an undying body. When Dongping heard this, he couldn't help but go crazy. Not only did he fail to get rid of the other party, but he also increased the other party's combat strength by countless times. This was a great humiliation. Don't talk big. In this world, except for the undying domain, nothing is undying. Dongping went completely crazy. He rushed into the sky and charged towards Madman. With a loud bang, Madman's body shattered in the sky, and blood dyed the sky red. Even his blood contained the terrifying power of all evil. A drop of blood was enough to shatter a piece of the void. Haha, Dongping laughed loudly. Undying body? Don't joke around. In this world, only he had an undying body. However, in the next moment, his laughter came to an abrupt end. However, Madman's shattered body was quickly reconstructed, and he appeared in front of Dongping without any injuries. How is it? The corner of Madman's mouth raised. No, I don't believe it. Dongping roared and attacked again. Madman's body shattered again. Dongping attacked Madman's divine soul again. Let's see how you can be reborn after I destroy your divine soul. In just a few breaths, Madman's divine soul disappeared. If you still don't die like this, I will chop off my head and let you sit on it. Dongping laughed wildly. Is that so? Then chop it off. The next moment, a mocking voice sounded. The evil power surged, and the madman appeared in the sky again, full of vigor. This, Dong Ping was completely dumbfounded. Dong Xian and the other two, Qin Feiyang, Lu Jijin, the inner demons, and the king were all dumbfounded. His body shattered, his divine soul dissipated, not to mention ordinary people. Even if it was them, only death would await them. However, madman ran out in the blink of an eye, alive and kicking. Don't think that this was a small matter. What was the most frightening thing in a battle? Without a doubt, it was having one's qi destroyed and one's divine soul damaged. Once the qi was destroyed, no matter how strong one was, they would become a cripple. When one's divine soul was damaged, one's combat strength would also be greatly reduced. Just like Qin Feiyang. He was strong enough, but as long as his qi was destroyed, whether it was his 3,000 incarnations or the law of life and death, he would not be able to activate them. But madman was different now. After condensing the all-evil true body, whether it was his qi being destroyed or his divine soul being damaged, it had no effect on him. In other words, when fighting in the future, he did not have to worry about the consequences of his qi being destroyed because it could be repaired at any time anyway. Think about it again. How terrifying would it be to fight with such a person? Because he was an invincible existence. No matter how you injured him, he would appear in front of you in the next moment. This guy, I'm afraid even I have no way to kill him, Qin Feiyang murmured. He had the confidence to suppress madman. The law of life and death, 3,000 incarnations, eye of heaven, and two will of heavenly Tao were not to be trifled with. But to kill madman, he didn't have the confidence to do so now, because this all-evil true body was much stronger than the undying domain. Although the undying domain could increase one's combat strength every time one was seriously injured, it was not a true undying body. As long as one was strong enough, one could still destroy it. But madman's all-evil true body, as long as there was evil power in the world, he would be indestructible. Looking back, which place didn't have evil power? So madman's all-evil true body was the true undying body. The most terrifying thing was his all-evil sword. Even Dong Ping's current 7 ultimate profound meanings could be easily crushed. This was definitely a peerless killing technique comparable to the Sword of Faith. Chapter 42-31. Continue. I was born with masochism. If I don't get beaten up for a day, my entire body will feel uncomfortable. The madman looked at the hysterical Dong Ping and said with a mocking expression, "Bastard!" Dong Ping roared like thunder. Dong Ping, calm down. Although you can't kill him, he can't kill you either. At most it will be a tie between the two of you. Dong Xian shouted. This sentence woke Dong Ping up from his dream. Dong Ping suddenly quivered and retreated a distance. Taking a few deep breaths, he looked at the madman and sneered. So what if you condense the all-evil true body and create the all-evil sword? You still can't defeat me. The madman revealed a smile when he heard this. Looking at this expression, Dong Ping couldn't help but feel guilty. Could it be that the all-evil sword is enough to break his undying legend? Don't be nervous. Whether I can kill you or not, I will only know after trying. The madman laughed. Accompanied by a loud clang, the all-evil sword appeared and its sharp edge swept in all directions. This place suddenly showed a doomsday scene. Dong Ping once again felt a fatal threat. He swallowed his saliva and couldn't help but feel nervous. Can the undying domain really block this peerless killing technique? Stand there and don't move. Let's test it properly. The madman grinned. His eyes were filled with anticipation. He had just created the all-evil sword, so he wasn't too clear about the lethality of the all-evil sword. Come! Dong Ping roared. Ha, you have guts. The madman laughed. Holding the all-evil sword with both hands, he slashed at Dong Ping. Dong Ping stared at the all-evil sword. His pupils constricted as he clenched his fists. His palms were sweating. He knew the limit of the undying domain. But what he didn't know was whether the lethality of the all-evil sword had exceeded this limit. If it didn't, he would have the confidence. But if he did, he would be digging his own grave if he tried. In the blink of an eye, seeing that the all-evil sword was about to attack him, Dong Ping was driven by fear. He activated instant time and retreated with lightning speed to avoid the sword. Madman was stunned. He looked at Dongping strangely and said, I just said you were courageous. Why did you become a coward in the next second? Do you think I'm stupid? Dongping sneered. I don't care if you're a fool or not. This battle is a matter of life and death. Madman smiled coldly. With a wave of his hand, the all-evil sword quickly shrank, and in the blink of an eye, it had shrunk to the size of a 3-foot-long sword. The madman grabbed the sword of all evil and swung it a few times, gritting his teeth. This is still more flexible, it's easier to use. Finish speaking. Instant time was activated, and the will of the heavenly Tao erupted. Under the support of the will of the heavens, the speed of the instant time increased by several times. The madman held the all-evil sword and charged towards Dongping. Dongping's expression changed slightly. The will of the heavenly Tao erupted as he dodged. Is this all you've got? You don't even have the courage to fight head-on? Madman sneered. Why are you so arrogant? Dongping said furiously. The corner of the madman's mouth curled up. The power of all evil surged, and his speed instantly increased by a large margin. Qin Feiyong looked at the madman's forehead suspiciously. At this time there was no longer the seal of all evil between the madman's eyebrows. But how could the madman still add the power of all evil to the profound law? And now, the effect of the power of all evil was even stronger than before. In the past, the power of all evil could increase it by about 5 times. But now it was comparable to the will of the heavens. In other words, even if the madman didn't comprehend the ultimate profound law of life and death, it was equivalent to grasping 2 will of the heavens. This was a qualitative leap. In this world, the only ones who could suppress the madman were those who grasped the 3,000 incarnations and the Devil King true body. At the same time, Dongping also had a look of surprise. I am now the source of all evil, the ruler of all evil. I no longer need the seal of all evil. Moreover, after creating the true body of all evil, the strength of the power of all evil is incomparable to before. The madman smiled proudly, and the all-evil sword slashed out. Caught off guard, Dongping's body was directly cut in half. The terrifying sword chi instantly drowned Dongping. With a scream, Dongping's body that was cut in half was shattered by the sword chi, turning into a blood mist. Undying domain rebirth. His soul roared. The next moment, Dongping, who had turned into a blood mist, actually began to reconstruct his body, and the speed was visible to the naked eye. What? The madman frowned. This undying domain was so heaven-defying? Even the all-evil sword couldn't erase it? It seemed like the 5 great domains were truly extraordinary. Can't kill me, can't kill me? Haha. Dongping was extremely excited. As long as the all-evil sword couldn't kill him, then he would have a chance to turn the tables. Because no matter how strong the all-evil sword was, there was still a limit. However, the strengthening of the undying domain was endless. As long as the number of injuries increased, his combat strength would surpass the all-evil sword sooner or later. Laugh your ass. The madman cursed. Another sword slashed out. Dongping's body was shattered again. If I don't give you a chance to reconstruct, let's see how you can recover? The madman laughed again and again. The all-evil sword in his hand slashed at Dongping's flesh and divine soul again and again. In a breath's time he had slashed out dozens of times. It was as if he was chopping meat. Facing such a torrential attack, Dongping gradually panicked. Because he felt that not only could the all-evil sword bring him fatal injuries, there was also an evil aura that was seeping into his flesh and soul. This evil aura was the power of the source of all evil. It was equivalent to saying, Dongping was now facing a double blow. Stop. For this battle we admit defeat. The young man who was watching the battle also realized that Dongping was in a bad situation, and looked at the madman and said in a deep voice. Hearing this, Dong Xian and the other woman looked at the young man in surprise. We must admit defeat. Otherwise, facing such an attack, Dongping's undying domain will be broken sooner or later, and at that time, his soul will be destroyed. The young man's eyes were gloomy. In the first battle, facing the golden-winged wolf king, Dong Xian was killed without any power to fight back. In the second battle, Dongping also suffered the same fate. This is the strength of the madman and the golden-winged wolf king? Sure enough, they had underestimated these people. Admit defeat? The madman raised the corner of his mouth. Although there was no explanation in advance before the battle, whether it was Qin Feiyang's group of 3 or Dong Xian's group of 4, they had already tacitly agreed that this was a life-and-death battle. But now, this young man actually admitted defeat? Isn't this a joke? Do you think I'm playing house and playing with you? Clang! The all-evil sword crazily attacked. Right now, everyone couldn't see the all-evil sword, only an afterimage. One could imagine. The madman's current sword speed was very fast. Suddenly, a blood-colored rune appeared from a blood mist. The madman was stunned. What the hell is this? Not good. But at the same time, Dong Xian's group of 3 had a change of expression. Qin Feiyang pondered for a moment and said in surprise, "Senior brother, that is the rune of the undying domain. As long as we shatter it, his undying domain should collapse." After being reminded by Qin Feiyang, the madman also came to a realization. Killing intent surged in his eyes as he slashed at the rune. With a crack, the rune was shattered on the spot. Immediately, in an instant, the madman waved his sword dozens of times. Immediately, another blood-colored rune appeared. With one slash, this blood-colored rune was also shattered. He still hasn't broken the undying domain? The madman frowned. Could it be that he had to shatter all the runes for the undying domain to collapse? We can't let him shatter the undying rune again. Otherwise Dong Ping will definitely die. Dong Xian roared. The young man took a deep breath, and the 7 ultimate laws instantly appeared. Then, he took a step forward and charged at the madman like lightning. Just you? The madman looked at the young man and slashed out. The 7 ultimate laws were destroyed on the spot. Simply invincible. Immediately after, the sword chi of the all-evil sword turned into a storm that surged toward the young man from all directions. He thought that the young man would be afraid. However, the young man snorted coldly as rays of golden divine light emerged. A golden domain was formed in an instant. Facing the sword chi storm that swept over, the young man's expression remained unchanged. The madman Qin Feiyang, Lu Jijin, and the other 2 couldn't help but be surprised by the young man. This was the sword chi of the all-evil sword. Even the ultimate laws that contained the will of the heavenly Tao could be easily defeated, but this young man didn't even have the intention to dodge. So confident. The next moment, the sword chi storm came and drowned the young man. A shocking scene suddenly appeared in front of everyone's eyes. The young man stood in the midst of the storm of sword chi, completely unharmed. How could this be? The all-evil sword couldn't hurt this person? Dong Xian looked at Qin Feiyang and the madman and sneered. The invincible state of the god-slaying domain. Do you think it's a joke? God-slaying domain? Invincible state. Qin Feiyang and the madman were taken aback. Just kidding. Invincible? Is this possible? Just as the madman was distracted, the young man with the golden domain directly crossed the sword chi storm and landed in front of the blood mist formed by Dong Ping. Dong Ping also began to regenerate. But with the 2 undying runes destroyed, the speed of his rebirth had obviously slowed down a lot. The madman came back to his senses and looked at the young man. The young man said indifferently, "Dong Tianchen, please enlighten me. This invincible state of yours, are you serious?" The madman frowned. "You can try." Dong Tianchen was expressionless, but his brows were full of confidence. Clang! The all-evil sword attacked. A sword slashed at Dong Tianchen's domain. Following a loud explosion, terrifying auras burst out from the ground. But Dong Tianchen's god-slaying domain only shook a few times before returning to normal. And Dong Tianchen, who was standing in the god-slaying domain, was not injured at all. This time, the madman was completely dumbfounded. A head-on sword was actually unable to break this god-slaying domain? Are you playing with me? Clang! The madman who came back to his senses was instantly enraged. Holding the all-evil sword with both hands, his veins bulged as he attacked without holding back. Boom! Following an earth-shattering explosion, the god-slaying domain was still intact. Chapter 42-32. They're really invincible. Qin Feiyang was also shocked. The god-sealing domain, the undying domain, and the god-slaying domain. Each was more terrifying than the last. Were these the 5 geniuses of the Central Dynasty? They were much more outstanding than the so-called prodigies like Ryuko. No, they couldn't be compared at all. Dong Tianquan and the other two were more than enough to kill them instantly. If not for the fact that the mad scientist and the white-eyed wolf were strong enough, they would have been defeated by these people. At this moment, Dong Ping finally revived. He stared at the mad scientist with murderous intent in his eyes. What? You want to bully us with numbers? I'll play with you till the end. The mad scientist laughed. Whoosh! Before he could finish his words, the white-eyed wolf also appeared, full of vigor. Dong Xian stared at the white-eyed wolf in shock. How did he recover so quickly? The Eye of Destiny is indeed extraordinary. The other lady who hadn't attacked yet sneered. Even the Eye of Destiny knows about us. It seems like Neptune talked a lot about us when he entered the Central Dynasty. The white-eyed wolf looked at her mockingly. Boom! His aura surged out, and the ingrate landed beside Madman. He looked at Dong Tianquan and laughed. Invincible domain? Let me try and see if I'm really invincible. Croak! The heaven-swallowing battle soul beast appeared with a croak. A terrifying beast aura enveloped the area. As you wish. Dong Tianquan smiled coldly. But at this moment, a space-time tunnel appeared in the sky. A man in black walked out quickly. He scanned the battlefield with a trace of shock in his eyes. Evidently, he was shocked by the devastation on the battlefield. Then he went straight for Qin Feiyang. Why did you come back? Qin Feiyang was confused. It seemed like he was very familiar with the man in black. We can't fight anymore. Let's go. The man in black sounded very serious. Qin Feiyang seemed to believe the black-clothed man completely. He immediately looked at the madman and the white-eyed wolf and shouted, Let's go. Let's fight another day. The madman and the white-eyed wolf looked at each other and sneered at Dong Tianquan and Dong Ping. Then they rushed towards Qin Feiyang and the black-clothed man like lightning. You want to leave? No way. Dong Ping smiled savagely. But just as he was about to give chase, Dong Tianquan stretched out his hand to stop him. He shook his head and said, Don't give chase. Dong Xian is already seriously injured. It won't do us any good to continue fighting. 3 pieces of trash. Consider yourselves lucky. Dong Ping was arrogant and domineering, cursing and swearing. Qin Feiyang opened the space-time tunnel and prepared to enter. However, when he heard this, a cold light flashed in his eyes. 3,000 incarnations appeared, and the life and death edict and the 6 ultimate laws instantly appeared. 2 wills of the heavenly Tao exploded. Immediately, 21,000 ultimate profundities charged towards Dong Ping with overwhelming might. It's indeed the life and death edict. Dong Ping's eyes trembled, and he couldn't help but feel terrified. This was 21,000 ultimate profundities. Among them, there were 3,000 ultimate profundities. There were also 2 wills of the heavenly Tao. It had probably exceeded the limit of the undying domain. Retreat. Dong Tianquan's eyes flickered, and he finally gave the order and retreated with Dong Ping. Qin Feiyang was stunned. He wasn't surprised that Dong Ping retreated. However, Dong Tianquan retreating was somewhat unexpected. Could it be that there was a limit to the invincible state of the god-slaying domain? Let's go. The black-clothed man urged. Qin Feiyang looked at the black-clothed man. What was the matter that made him so anxious? Then with a wave of his hand, the 3,000 incarnations disappeared. He looked at Dong Ping and said, Next time, remember to pay attention to your manners. Then he turned and entered the space-time tunnel. The black-clothed man, the white-eyed wolf, and the madman followed closely behind. What's going on? Isn't Dong Zhengyang in seclusion in the village? Why is he in such a hurry now? And he left in a hurry with Qin Feiyang and the other 2? In the distance. The king frowned. That's right. This black-clothed young man who suddenly appeared was Dong Zhengyang. It's a little strange. The divine king nodded. Suddenly, he looked shocked and transmitted his voice. Could it be that something happened to the old man and the others? The king looked at the divine king. Don't be nervous. I'm just guessing. The divine king hurriedly comforted him. No. There's definitely something wrong with Dong Zhengyang's appearance. The king shook his head and immediately opened a space-time tunnel. Where are you going? The divine king hurriedly asked. The village. The king said in a deep voice. Don't go. If you go now, won't you be suspected of being a prophet? At that time they might suspect you. The divine king hurriedly stopped the king. The king's expression stiffened. What the divine king said did make sense. Don't be impatient. Let's go and meet Dong Ping and the others first. We might be able to get some useful information. Besides, given the old man and the others' strength, the possibility of an accident is not high. The divine king comforted him. All right. The king nodded. What should we do? On the other side, the inner demons turned to look at Lu Jijin. We've been in the divine kingdom for so long, but we haven't had a chance to take a good look at the scenery of the divine kingdom. Why don't we take this opportunity to walk around? Lu Jijin said with a smile. Huh. The inner demons were stunned. They were still in the mood to go sightseeing. However, it was not bad. It was rare for them to be free. At the same time, Thousand Phoenix Mountain. The white-eyed wolf looked at Dong Zhengyang in confusion and asked, Dong Zhengyang, what are you doing? Why are you in such a hurry? Dong Zhengyang's expression was grave. Wait. Dong Ping, Dong Tianchen, and Dong Xian all have the surname Dong. Could they be your distant relatives? The frenzy laughed strangely. That's right. So you're from the Central Dynasty. You've been lurking around us for so many years. Tell us honestly, what are you up to? The white-eyed wolf also joined in the commotion. When Dong Zhengyang heard this, he couldn't help but roll his eyes. In this world, there were even people with the same name and surname, let alone people with the same surname. Stop fooling around. Qin Feiyang stared helplessly at the frenzy and the white-eyed wolf. Then, he looked at Dong Zhengyang and asked, What's the matter? Dong Zhengyang looked up at the North Continent and said in a deep voice, Not long ago, someone called Dong Hanzong came to the village. He seems to be from the Central Dynasty. What? Qin Feiyang and the other two's expressions changed. Dong Hanzong? Or someone from the Central Dynasty? Could he be one of the 5 unparalleled geniuses who hadn't shown up? If that was the case, then this person's strength must be extraordinary. Because ordinary people wouldn't have the guts to step into that village. As you think, this person's strength is extremely powerful. Especially his domain. Dong Zhengyang said in a deep voice. Domain. The three of them looked at each other. As long as it was a domain, it must be another unparalleled genius. Dong Zhengyang said. His domain seems to be called Inverse the Universe. It can control other people's ultimate profundities. Control the ultimate profundities? The three of them were stunned. What did that mean? Dong Zhengyang explained, for example, if we activate our ultimate profundities, as long as he activates his domain, he can control our ultimate profundities and use them to kill his enemies. What? There's actually such a heaven-defying method. The three of them were shocked. Controlling other people's ultimate profundities? That was too unbelievable. Are you sure? The frenzy asked. Yes. I saw it with my own eyes. At that time when Boss Ji fought with Dong Hanzong, not only did he activate 3,000 clones, but he also activated 8 ultimate profundities. I thought that victory was in my hands. But I didn't expect that when Dong Hanzong activated his domain, he could directly control all the ultimate profundities. Boss Ji was caught off guard and almost died in his hands. It was also because I saw how terrifying Dong Hanzong was and learned of Dong Hanzong's true identity that Boss Ji asked me to come find you and tell you to stop fighting, Dong Zhengyang said in a deep voice. He actually dares to hurt this group of old men? Let's go. Let's go to the village now. Killing intent surged in the white-eyed wolf's eyes. Don't be impulsive. Dong Zhengyang hurriedly pulled the white-eyed wolf and said, If we go to the village now, isn't it equivalent to admitting our relationship with the Purple Gold Divine Dragon clan? Then what if something happens to these old men? The white-eyed wolf frowned. He had always had a good impression of this group of old men. Don't worry. Dong Hanzong's purpose is to let these old men help him hunt us down. Moreover, these old men are all people of virtue and prestige. He won't dare to kill them. Dong Zhengyang comforted him. Hunt us down? Qin Feiyang and the other two frowned. That's right. Judging from Dong Hanzong's attitude, he seems to be blaming the old men. Dong Zhengyang nodded. Blaming? What right does he have? Lunatic said angrily. The old men are very strong. If they had attacked us when we entered the divine kingdom, we wouldn't have had the chance to grow at all. So Dong Hanzong blamed them for being of virtue and prestige and meddling in worldly affairs. He pushed a large part of the responsibility to them. Dong Zhongyang sighed. So, he went to ask the old men to come out of seclusion? Qin Feiyang asked. Ask? Don't think so highly of it. As a peerless genius of the central dynasty, how can he be so humble? What he meant was that the old men would listen to him and work for him in the future. In other words, this Dong Hanzong wants to be the head of the family. Dong Zhongyang said. Listen to his orders? He thinks too highly of himself. The white-eyed wolf sneered. Qin Feiyang pondered carefully and suddenly said, I understand now. Lord Zhou is worried that Dong Hanzong will bring them to encircle and annihilate us. That's why he asked you to find us in advance and let us quickly retreat. That's what he meant. The 5 great geniuses of the central dynasty, and the king, the divine king, and Jizun. If the old men join in, then no matter how strong you are, you won't be able to escape this calamity. Dong Zhongyang nodded. Bastard. It's best not to hurt these old men. Otherwise, even if I have to go to the ends of the earth, I won't let them go. The white-eyed wolf roared. You don't have to worry about this. The old men are the elders of the purple-gold divine dragon clan. They are the backbone of the divine kingdom. Even if Dong Hanzong wants to kill them, the king of the central dynasty won't agree. Moreover, these old men aren't rash people. They will definitely pretend to be polite and deal with Dong Hanzong. Dong Zhongyang smiled faintly. He wasn't worried about the situation of these old men at all. Instead, he was most worried about their current situation. Chapter 42-33. Let's go to the Black Tortoise realm first. Qin Feiyang took a deep breath and led the 3 of them into the tea garden. The white-eyed wolf took out a wine jar, raised his head and gulped down a mouthful. He grinned and said, How's the harvest from your seclusion in the village all these years? Not bad. Dong Zhongyang nodded with a smile. You have to work hard. Mu Tianyang demon ancestor, Mu Qing demon dragon. These guys are all working hard to cultivate. Anyway, don't be beaten by them. Compared to Mu Tianyang and the others, the white-eyed wolf admired Dong Zhongyang more. Is winning or losing that important? Dong Zhongyang shook his head with a wry smile and asked, How is the strength of those 4 unparalleled geniuses? Trash. The white-eyed wolf was disdainful. Hearing this, the corner of Qin Feiyang's mouth twitched. How dare you say that trash can beat you half to death? Quite strong. The God-killing domain, the undying domain, and the sealed God domain all have heaven-defying divine might. Although the other woman didn't make a move, her strength definitely can't be underestimated. Qin Feiyang said. That's right. The 5 unparalleled geniuses are all here. They are coming aggressively. We have to be prepared to deal with them. Dong Zhongyang sighed. That's right. Dong Tianqian's God-killing domain has an invincible state. Even Laozi's all-evil sword can't break his invincible body. If we really fight, it will probably be a bitter battle. Madman nodded. He wasn't as courageous as the white-eyed wolf. After all, they were the 5 unparalleled geniuses carefully cultivated by the central dynasty. They stood at the top of the younger generation of the divine kingdom. Could be said that the methods of these 5 people were not much different from theirs. Don't worry. Don't we still have Mu Tianyang, demon ancestor, Dong Zhongyang, Mu Qing and the others? The war between the 2 continents is not a one-on-one fight. At that time we will all swarm up. No matter what kind of heaven-defying domain it is, it will have to kneel down and submit. The white-eyed wolf laughed loudly. Qin Feiyang and the other 2 were speechless. He was really asking for a beating. However, the white-eyed wolf's relaxed attitude was worth learning from. Wait. Suddenly, Dong Zhongyang looked at the madman and asked, What is the all-evil sword? Hey! A peerless killing technique that I have just created. Madman bared his teeth. Peerless killing technique? Dong Zhongyang looked at Qin Feiyang. Yes. Qin Feiyang nodded. Dong Zhongyang immediately looked at Madman and said expectantly, Let me see. Madman smiled and with a wave of his hand, Endless evil power emerged and a 3-feet-long sword condensed. But the sharpness was restrained. Otherwise, the devil's land would be razed to the ground by the sword chi. Dong Zhengyang looked at the all-evil sword in surprise and reached out his hand to touch the blade. A bloodstain immediately appeared on his finger. Moreover, a terrifying evil power crazily poured into Dong Zhengyang's body through the wound. Puff! Dong Zhengyang's face suddenly turned pale and his face was full of fear. This evil power actually injured him heavily in an instant. He quickly retracted his arm and refined the evil power in his body, but he couldn't refine it at all. It crazily nibbled at his body, divine soul and divine power. Quickly help! Qin Feiyong looked at Madman and shouted. Madman bared his teeth and grabbed Dong Zhengyang's arm. The evil power in Dong Zhengyang's body was immediately forcibly pulled out. This time, only then did Dong Zhengyang's expression soften. Looking at Madman again, his eyes were full of awe. How is it? Madman looked at Dong Zhengyang proudly. Powerful. Not to mention this all-evil sword, just this evil power is enough to kill me. Dong Zhengyang nodded. Don't be afraid. Once you grasp the will of the heavenly Tao, his power as the source of all evil is no longer a concern. White-eyed wolf waved his hand. Can't be that much. Even if you grasp the will of the heavenly Tao, the power of the source of all evil can still bring a certain amount of trouble. Qin Feiyong shook his head. Dong Zhengyang looked at Madman in surprise and asked, How did you do it? Madman grinned and said, This is all thanks to Dong Ping. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have been able to create the all-evil true body. All-evil true body, does it mean that you are now the source of all evil? Qin Feiyong was curious. Madman nodded. We are all such decent people. Why would we become friends with an evil guy like you? Little Qin Zi, little Dong Zi, we have to keep a distance from him in the future, lest others say that we are also devils. White-eyed wolf said with disdain. Qin Feiyong and Dong Zhengyang looked at each other with bitter smiles. Decent? How can you be considered decent by White-eyed wolf? You are even more ferocious than Madman. Qin Feiyong looked at Madman and asked, Then, will your power as the source of all evil continue to grow stronger in the future? I don't know. I have just condensed the all-evil true body. I still need to slowly study the situation later. Madman shook his head. Qin Feiyong nodded. Indeed, the source of all evil was unprecedented and had to be figured out by Madman himself. Then, Qin Feiyong and Madman looked at each other and looked at White-eyed Wolf at the same time. What are you looking at? White-eyed Wolf got up with a guilty conscience and was about to slip away. Dong Zhengyang looked at the three of them suspiciously. Sit down. Qin Feiyong and Dong Zhengyang stared at White-eyed Wolf and shouted in unison, giving Dong Zhengyang a fright. White-eyed Wolf's body stiffened and he smiled awkwardly at the two of them before returning to the stone bench. Speak. What is going on with your battle soul? Madman said with a dark face. Battle soul? Dong Zhengyang was suspicious. You don't know, but this guy's battle soul is actually a heaven-swallowing beast. And he has a fourth special ability. Madman snorted coldly. What? Heaven-swallowing beast? Dong Zhengyang's eyes trembled as he looked at White-eyed Wolf in surprise. This White-eyed Wolf stammered. If you don't tell me the truth today, don't even think about leaving here. Madman stared at White-eyed Wolf. White-eyed Wolf sighed helplessly and looked at the three of them. If I say that I don't know, will you believe me? No. The three of them spoke at the same time. Then what are you talking about? White-eyed Wolf turned his head and wanted to leave. If you do that, we will suspect that you are a spy sent by the heaven-swallowing beast. Madman said. I'm a spy? Look at my handsome and dignified appearance. Do I look like a spy? White-eyed Wolf glared at him angrily. Yes. Madman nodded. White-eyed Wolf's face darkened as he said angrily, To be honest, I really don't know why my battle soul is a heaven-swallowing beast. When I first saw my battle soul's true body, I was also very puzzled. When did you see your battle soul's true body? Qin Feiyong was puzzled. When I broke through to godhood. It's also because I'm a heaven-swallowing beast that I didn't dare to reveal my battle soul's true body. This time, if it wasn't for my dignity and that I can't lose to Dong Xian, I wouldn't have activated my fourth ability. I'm just afraid that you guys will think too much. White-eyed Wolf was helpless. Madman sized up White-Eyed Wolf and suddenly looked at Qin Feiyang. Old Qin, control him and read his memory to see if what he said is true. Damn you. We've been brothers for so many years, you don't trust me? White-Eyed Wolf was furious. You also know that we've been brothers for so many years? You actually kept it from us, what do you take us for? Madman also glared at him, not to be outdone. It's indeed my fault. I shouldn't have kept it from you guys. But you guys have to understand me. Just look at the grudges between us and the heaven-swallowing beast and ice dragon. If they knew that my battle soul is a heaven-swallowing beast, wouldn't everyone isolate me? White-Eyed Wolf was helpless. Your words, why do I feel uncomfortable listening to it? Since we're brothers, as long as you take the initiative to tell us, we will definitely believe you. Don't you know that taking the initiative to tell us and being found out by us are two completely different things? If we find out, we will think that you have a guilty conscience. Madman snorted through his nose. All right. Come and read my memory to see if I'm lying. White-Eyed Wolf waved his hand impatiently. Madman pursed his lips. Your mind is filled with dirty thoughts. Who would be willing to read your memory? You're the one who said to read my memory. And now there's another reason for you guys to read my memory. What do you guys want? White-Eyed Wolf was also annoyed. Nothing much. Anyway, I just feel uncomfortable. In fact, Madman was just joking when he said that he wanted to read his memory. After being together for so many years, how could he not trust White-Eyed Wolf? It was just that he was dissatisfied with this kind of deception. Between brothers, they had to be honest with each other. With a stomach full of secrets, who would dare to be friends with you? All right. Let's put this matter to rest. However, since White-Eyed Wolf's war soul is the heaven-swallowing beast, then there must be some kind of connection with the heaven-swallowing beast. White-Eyed Wolf might not even know about these connections. Qin Feiyang waved his hand and said thoughtfully. Makes sense. I'm afraid we have to ask the heaven-swallowing beast himself to know the answer. Dong Zhongyang nodded. This guy is really like a ghost that won't go away. No matter where we go, we can get involved with him. Madman cursed angrily. This might be fate. Qin Feiyang sighed. There were traces of the heaven-swallowing beast in Great Qin and Forgotten Continent. There were also traces of the heaven-swallowing beast in the ancient world and divine ruins. Now, there was also this guy in the divine kingdom in the Sky Cloud realm. It was not an exaggeration to say that it was a ghost that wouldn't go away. Actually, I've been thinking about this problem and thought of a possibility. White-Eyed Wolf suddenly spoke. What possibility? The three of them looked at him suspiciously. Look, Little Qinzi's ancient castle in Changshui, as well as the six-word divine art, although on the surface they all came together, but in fact they have a lot to do with Wutian. And Wutian and the heaven-swallowing beast have a very close relationship. So I'm thinking, could there be such a factor in my war soul? White-Eyed Wolf was curious. Qin Feiyang and the other two looked at each other. Looking at it this way, it really was a bit of a coincidence. Don't think about it. This kind of baseless thing, the more I think about it, the more my head hurts. Qin Feiyang rubbed his head and shook his head. No matter what the reason was, as long as White-Eyed Wolf could become stronger, it was fine. As for whether White-Eyed Wolf was sent by the heaven-swallowing beast, he didn't doubt it at all. Chapter 42-34. At the same time, in the sky above the village, the wind howled. A purple-robed young man stood in the wind with his hands behind his back. His long hair danced in the wind. From afar, he looked like a descendant of God, exuding an extraordinary aura. This person was Dong Hanzong. On the other side, Bosch Ji and a group of old men stood side by side, looking a little embarrassed. The two sides looked at each other in silence, making the atmosphere seem quite heavy. After a long time, Dong Hanzong was the first to break the silence. He sighed and said, "Seniors, I really respect all of you. Otherwise, I wouldn't have come to visit you as soon as I arrived in the 4 great continents. So, I hope that all of you can show me some basic respect." Humph! Ji Laosher snorted and pointed at the embarrassed people. He said angrily, "Is this your respect for us? I know that you are all extraordinary, so I couldn't help but want to spar with you. If you are dissatisfied because of this, I apologize to you." Dong Hanzong cupped his hands in a polite manner. Ji Laosher had a fiery temper and wanted to say something, but Boss Ji reached out and stopped him. He looked at Dong Hanzong and said, "We are old and just want to live the rest of our lives peacefully. So little brother, please find someone else." "Find someone else?" Dong Hanzong shook his head and said with a smile, "Who else in the 4 great continents is more powerful than you? You can't say that. The 4 great continents are also full of crouching tigers and hidden dragons. As for us old men, we are lucky to be able to live one more day. We really want to, but we can't." Boss Ji sighed. "You want to, but you can't, or you don't want to? Don't forget, you are also a member of the Divine Kingdom. You can be where you are today because of the Lord Ruler. Is it so difficult for you to deal with a few outsiders? If you insist on doing so, I might begin to suspect whether or not the person you're pledging your loyalty to is our Lord Ruler." Dong Hanzong seemed to have lost his patience. His tone was cold. "If you want to condemn someone, you can always find a pretext." Boss Ji sneered. "But this is the truth before our eyes. As I said before, if you were willing to help Qin Feiyang and the others when they first entered the Divine Kingdom, how could they have grown to their current level? Most importantly, it is said that this Qin Feiyang is a descendant of your Purple Gold Divine Dragon clan." Dong Hanzong smiled faintly. "That's interesting. I can't help but want to ask the Central Dynasty. Lord Ruler, you've long known that Qin Feiyang and the others had barged into the Divine Kingdom. But after all these years, why haven't the people of the Central Dynasty dealt with them? According to what you said, can we also suspect that you have some kind of interest relationship with Qin Feiyang?" Master Jizhou spoke. It was a simple sentence, but it made Dong Hanzong's brows crease with a trace of anger. He looked at Master Jizhou and said, "You're the one who wants to accuse him. You can speak, but this old man can't?" Master Jizhou asked back. Dong Hanzong clenched his hands, trying to suppress the anger in his heart, and said, "Let's not talk about this boring topic anymore. Just tell me, are you going to help me or not?" Master Jizhou was about to speak. "One more thing. I came to the 4 great continents on the orders of the Lord Emperor. Before I left, the Lord Emperor personally told me that I can exercise all my power in the 4 great continents. So before you answer, think carefully." Dong Hanzong said again. The weight of this sentence could be said to be very important. The Emperor of the Central Dynasty was the descendant of the Divine Kingdom's ruler. It could be said that in the entire Divine Kingdom, the Emperor had the greatest power except for the ruler. In front of the Emperor, the monarch and the others had to stand aside. It was no exaggeration to say that whoever the Emperor wanted to kill, that person had to die. In his hands he had absolute power of life and death. At this moment, Dong Hanzong mentioned the Emperor to intimidate Boss Ji and the others. Moreover, the sentence that he could exercise all his power was even more meaningful, because this sentence meant that the Emperor had given him the power of life and death. He could order anyone in the 4 great continents. Whoever dared to disobey his orders could be killed first and reported later. Therefore, this was a warning to a group of old people not to take advantage of their seniority. And this sentence also aroused the anger of Master Ji and the others. "Young man, we old fellows are all people with half our bodies buried in the ground. What kind of storm have we not experienced? So do you think we will be afraid of threats?" Second young mistress laughed hoarsely. Dong Hanzong frowned. "If you have the ability, kill all of us today. No, don't talk nonsense here. Get out of here." Ji Laosher shouted fiercely, showing no mercy. Dong Hanzong's face suddenly turned green and red. "What? Do you still want to stay here for lunch?" Ji Laosher sneered. "Okay. I will report this matter truthfully to the Emperor." Dong Hanzong nodded and laughed out of anger. "Whatever. It's best to let the Emperor come in person. We can also see the Emperor's elegance," Ji Laosher said. Dong Hanzong glanced at Ji Laosher gloomily, turned around, opened a space-time passage, and left without looking back. "What the hell? When I dominated the Divine Kingdom, damn it, you were not even born yet. How dare you be so arrogant in front of me?" Before Dong Hanzong was teleported away, Ji Laosher could not help but sneer. Every word fell clearly into Dong Hanzong's ears, which made a trace of killing intent flash in his eyes. A group of old things, do they really think they are a big shot? Not long after, Swish. 3 figures descended above the village. Grandpa, Grandma, are you all right? It was the king and the other 2. When he saw the group of old people in a somewhat sorry state, the king's expression changed. He immediately ran up and asked with concern, "I'm fine. It's a small problem." Master Ji waved his hand. "That's good." The king heaved a sigh of relief. The divine king and the supreme being of the human race flew down and asked, "Old master, who is it?" "Dong Hanzong. An arrogant and domineering young man who has no respect for his elders," Ji Laoshi said in disgust. "From the central dynasty?" The divine king frowned. "Yes." Ji Laoshi nodded and said, "According to him, he seems to be one of the 5 unparalleled geniuses, but to be honest, this person's strength is indeed not to be underestimated. It's just as we speculated." The supreme being of the human race looked at the divine king and said, "What speculations?" The group of old people looked at the 3 of them suspiciously. "When we saw Dong Zhengyang looking for Qin Feiyang, we guessed that something might have happened here, so after sending Dong Ping and the other 3 away, we immediately rushed over." The king said truthfully, "How was the battle between Qin Feiyang and the others?" The second young mistress hurriedly asked, her expression full of concern. They were going to continue fighting, but as soon as Dong Zhengyang arrived, Qin Feiyang and the others retreated. As for who won or lost, of course Qin Feiyang and the others won a complete victory. The king smiled. "It seems that these guys did not disappoint us." Ji Laoshi chuckled. His attitude was completely different from when he was facing Dong Hanzong. He was pleasant and full of relief. It's not just that. Frenzy and the golden-winged wolf king's performance in this battle was quite eye-catching. The king chuckled. "What do you mean?" The group of people was curious. The king immediately began to talk about it with relish. Chapter 42-35. At the same time, somewhere in the West Continent, Dong Xian and the other 3 stood at the top of a mountain, seemingly waiting for something. Buzz. Soon, a space-time passage appeared. A purple-clad young man walked out with a gloomy face. It was Dong Hanzong. "Brother Zong." Dong Xian and the other 3 hurriedly went up to him. It was not difficult to see that they could not respect Dong Hanzong. "Yes." Dong Hanzong nodded and glanced at the 4 of them. Suddenly, he noticed Dong Xian's situation and frowned. "What's wrong with you?" "I'm sorry." Dong Xian lowered her head, her face full of shame. "Brother Zong, you can't blame Dong Xian for this." Dong Tianchun sighed. "Make it clear." Dong Hanzong's face was a little ugly. Obviously, Dong Xian and the other 3 had a bad start. "We all underestimated Qin Feiyang and the others." Dong Ping sighed. He explained the situation of the battle in detail. Dong Hanzong clenched his fists when he heard this. Dong Xian lowered her head and said, "Brother Zong, if you want to blame someone, blame it on me. It's not your fault, why should I blame you? I'm the one at fault. Because I misjudged and thought that with your strength you could defeat them. Actually, I should have gone with you." Dong Hanzong sighed deeply, his face full of self-blame. The 4 of them looked at each other. They thought that Dong Hanzong would be angry, but they did not expect that he would comfort them and take the blame. "Brother Zong, did you gain anything from this trip to the village?" Dong Tianchun asked. "No. This group of old things, they're all stubborn and take advantage of their seniority." Dong Hanzong's eyes flashed with killing intent. "What? They dare to disobey the orders of the central dynasty. Are they rebelling?" The 4 of them were furious. "Rebelling? Even if they have the guts, they won't dare to. I guess it's because Yu Lao offended them back then, so they're holding a grudge." Dong Hanzong shook his head. "That's their personal grudge. How can it affect the overall situation? Why don't we go with you now? If they don't listen, we'll kill them first." Dong Ping said furiously. "Acting first and reporting later? How could it be so easy? These old fogies all have 3,000 incarnations. When they join forces, even I will have a headache." Dong Hanzong sighed. "What? All of them have 3,000 incarnations?" The 4 of them were shocked. Indeed, he couldn't be reckless. Dong Hanzong pondered for a moment, then looked at the 4 people and said, "The most important thing right now is to think of a way to rescue Yu Lao, Neptune, and the dragon god." It won't be easy to save them. Dong Tianqian was deeply worried. Qin Feiyang and the other two could be considered to have come into direct contact with them. They were all tyrannical masters. Furthermore, perhaps Yu Lao and the other two had already died at the hands of Qin Feiyang. Even if it's not easy, we still have to save him. This is an order from the emperor. But at the same time, Qin Feiyang and the others must also be killed. Killing intent flickered in Dong Hanzong's eyes as he looked at Dong Xian and said, "You don't have to worry about anything now. Focus on reconstructing your body." "All right." Dong Xian nodded. "Dong Ping, think of a way to find Lu Yuntian and Lu Yunfeng. Judging from the current situation, to deal with Qin Feiyang and the others, we must have their help." Dong Hanzong looked at Dong Ping and ordered. "The 4 continents are so big. Isn't it like looking for a needle in a haystack to find 2 people?" Dong Ping frowned. "Not necessarily. This time, the battle between you and Qin Feiyang and the other 2 has alarmed the 4 continents. Lu Yuntian and Lu Yunfeng will definitely receive the news. Although they don't know us, as long as they know that we are from the Central Dynasty, they will definitely take the initiative to look for us." Dong Hanzong said. "That makes sense." Dong Ping nodded. At the same time, release another piece of news. Ask Qin Feiyang to hand over Yu Lao and the others, no matter what they ask for. Dong Hanzong said. "Okay." Dong Ping nodded and immediately opened a space-time tunnel, turned around and left. "What about us?" Dong Tianqian asked. "We'll go to the ancestral land of the purple gold divine dragon race." Dong Hanzong pondered for a while, then his eyes flashed. Dong Tianqian, Dong Xian, and the other woman looked at him suspiciously. "Those old things don't listen to us, but does the king dare to not listen to us? There's also the divine king and the human race's sovereign. With our status, they have to do whatever we ask them to do." Dong Hanzong sneered. "Makes sense." Dong Tianqian and the other 2 nodded with a cold smile on their faces. The Black Tortoise World. Soul-Sealing Valley. A pungent stench could be smelled from afar. At this moment, Yu Lao, Neptune, the dragon god, the various beast gods, the members of the oceanic race, and the sovereign beast of the beast race were all suppressed here, including the Star Tower, the Sky Extinction Sword, and the God-slaying halberd. Since they had entered the Black Tortoise World, it had been several 100,000 years according to the time in the Black Tortoise World. Whether it was Yu Lao or the 3 sovereign divine weapons, hundreds of thousands of years was just a blink of an eye for existences at their level. But now, because of the uniqueness of the Soul-Sealing Valley, every day felt like a year to them, especially Yu Lao and the others. With their ultimates taken away, they were already living a life worse than death. Now they were suppressed in this place, suffering torture and humiliation. If they could, they would rather die. But now they couldn't even decide their own deaths. They couldn't see any light or hope. Shua! Suddenly, 3 figures appeared. It was Qin Feiyang, the madman, and the white-eyed wolf. As for Dong Zhengyang, he had already gone into seclusion to cultivate. Qin Feiyang, madman Mo, golden-winged wolf king. "Return the ultimates to me. You demons, I curse you to die a horrible death." As soon as the 3 appeared, the place was instantly filled with curses. How pitiful. The great dragon god, Neptune, beast god, and even the big shots from the Central Dynasty. But now they've all become shrews. The madman's face was full of ridicule. "Don't be so smug. The Central Dynasty won't let you off." Yu Lao's face was gloomy, his eyes filled with hatred. "You're right about this. The people from the Central Dynasty have indeed come to the 4 great continents. Moreover, we've already fought with them." The white-eyed wolf looked at Yu Lao playfully. "Who are the people who came?" Yu Lao was bewildered. "The 5 unparalleled geniuses of the Central Dynasty." The white-eyed wolf bared his teeth. Yu Lao's spirit shook. But then he realized that something was wrong. Didn't the golden-winged wolf king say that he had already fought with the people from the Central Dynasty? If that was the case, why were Qin Feiyang's group standing in front of them unharmed? Could it be that even the 5 unparalleled geniuses of the Central Dynasty weren't a match for Qin Feiyang's group? Thinking of this, his scalp went numb. If even the 5 unparalleled geniuses weren't a match for these people, then who in the Central Dynasty could stop them? Although he didn't know much about the 5 unparalleled geniuses, It wasn't hard to tell from the emperor's praise of them that these 5 unparalleled geniuses could suppress the older generation. It must be fake. The madman and the white-eyed wolf must be scaring him. You still don't believe me? The white-eyed wolf shook his head. What a bunch of frogs at the bottom of a well. All right, there's no need to waste words with them. Qin Feiyong waved his hand. With a wave of his hand, the power that sealed the 3 high-grade sovereign divine weapons disappeared. The 3 high-grade sovereign divine weapons bodies were shattered, but even so, they still had some fighting power. So after the seal was removed, they immediately rushed out of the soul-sealing valley, wanting to escape. Still not obedient after being sealed for so long? Qin Feiyong raised his eyebrows. 3,000 clones appeared, instantly sealing off the area. Seeing this, the 3 sovereign divine weapons were terrified. Even when they were at their peak, they couldn't fight against 3,000 clones, let alone their bodies. My patience has its limits. I'll give you 2 choices now. One is to swear a blood oath to be loyal to us forever. The other is to have your soul destroyed, Qin Feiyong said. His tone was firm. There was no room for negotiation. Yu Lao panicked. He looked at the 3 sovereign divine weapons and shouted, "You can't betray the divine kingdom." Noisy. The white-eyed wolf took a step forward and smashed Yu Lao's divine soul with a slap, almost destroying it. However, this didn't make Yu Lao compromise. He continued to shout at the 3 sovereign divine weapons, "You are here today because of the sovereign. You can't be ungrateful. Kill him." Qin Feiyong looked at Yu Lao, killing intent flashing in his eyes. "I've had this idea for a long time." The white-eyed wolf bared his teeth and stared at Yu Lao. Yu Lao roared in horror, "You can't do this. The emperor won't let you go. And the sovereign won't let you go either. In the end, it's still unknown who will win." Killing intent flashed in the white-eyed wolf's eyes. The power of law emerged, and with a slap, Yu Lao's divine soul was destroyed on the spot. The dragon god, Neptune, and the other beast gods couldn't help but be dumbfounded. Killing Yu Lao just like that? One had to know. Yu Lao was from the Central Dynasty. Killing him was equivalent to directly challenging the Central Dynasty. Were these people really not afraid of the emperor and the sovereign's revenge? At the same time, their hearts were also filled with fear. Especially the others from the beast race and the sea clan. In their eyes, Yu Lao was an unattainable existence. But now, Qin Feiyong and the other 2 even dared to kill someone like Yu Lao, let alone small characters like them. They all fell into the abyss of fear. It's finally quiet. The white-eyed wolf glanced at Neptune and the others. No one dared to look him in the eye. Qin Feiyong looked at the 3 sovereign divine weapons and said indifferently, "I don't have the patience to waste time with you. Hurry up and give me an answer." The 3 sovereign divine weapons were also trembling. Since these 3 dared to kill Yu Lao, naturally they would dare to kill them. For a divine weapon to grow into a sovereign divine weapon, especially a superior sovereign divine weapon, who knew how long it would take? They really didn't want to die like this. We submit. In the end, they put down their self-esteem and submitted to Qin Feiyong. Immortal God of War latest chapter address Immortal God of War reading address /read/15083 Immortal God of War txt download address Immortal God of War mobile reading address /read/15083 for the convenience of reading next time. You can click on the collections below to record this time. Kill Yu Lao divine weapons submit. Read the record. You can see it the next time you open the bookshelf. Chapter 4236. Qin Feiyong and the other 2 looked at each other and smiled. Everything in this world couldn't escape the law. The stronger one was, the higher one's cultivation, the more one cared about their own life. You guys choose first. Qin Feiyong looked at the frenzied man and the white-eyed wolf and smiled. How can we accept this? The frenzied man and the white-eyed wolf smiled. However, their movements weren't slow at all. The white-eyed wolf grabbed the Tianju sword while the frenzied man grabbed the god-slaying halberd. Thus Star Tower was left. Qin Feiyong was speechless as he looked at the 2 of them. Although their words sounded nice, they weren't polite at all. Soon after, he looked at the 3 sovereign divine weapons and said indifferently, "Make a blood oath." Since they had already compromised, There was no need to hesitate. The 3 high-grade ruler weapons immediately made a blood oath to never betray, and to be loyal to their deaths. Haha. This daddy will also have a high-grade ruler weapon in the future. The frenzied man laughed. In the future, if he met someone like Yu Lao, he could just take out his high-grade ruler weapon and save himself a lot of trouble. Qin Feiyong looked at the 3 ruler weapons and said, "Go to the land of origin and repair your bodies, but remember to be ready for battle at any time." Yes. The 3 sovereign divine weapons replied respectfully. Once the blood oath was made, they had no room to resist. Of course, if the divine kingdom's ruler appeared, they could definitely break the blood oath. But would Qin Feiyong and the other 2 give them this chance? Moreover, they were confident. The 3 high-grade ruler weapons would sooner or later truly integrate into this team. The white-eyed wolf's eyes flashed as he looked at the dragon god and the others and asked, "How should we deal with these people?" As soon as these words came out, the suppressed sea race and beast race couldn't help but tremble in fear. Qin Feiyong's eyes flashed. "Don't kill us. We can serve you." The dragon god roared. "Dragon god, what did you say?" Neptune looked at the dragon god in shock and anger. "Do we have a choice? If you don't submit, you will die." The dragon god roared. Neptune went silent. He had seen the methods of Qin Feiyong's group with his own eyes. Yu Lao was the best outcome. Besides, even the 3 high-grade dominator weapons had submitted to him. What was the point of resisting? "Submit," Qin Feiyong murmured. Suddenly he smiled and said, "If it was before, I would be happy to hear this. But now your ultimate meaning has been taken away. What value do you have in keeping you alive?" "It's valuable. I can help you find out more about the Central Dynasty," the dragon said. Qin Feiyong smiled faintly and said, "I don't need you to help me investigate the details of the Central Dynasty." "What do you mean?" "Shay." The dragon god was surprised. Qin Feiyong smiled faintly and didn't answer. His eyes suddenly flashed with killing intent as he looked at the 3 high-grade sovereign divine weapons. He smiled and said, "Cut the weeds and eliminate the roots. Kill them all." "We kill?" The 3 high-grade ruler weapons were stunned. "Yes. You kill. Don't tell me you can't do it." Qin Feiyong's eyes flashed with a cold light. God-slaying halberd, Tianju sword, and Star Pagoda were silent for a while before suddenly roaring, "Kill!" Immediately, the 3 high-grade ruler weapons charged into Soul-Sealing Valley. Although their bodies were seriously injured, the dragon god and the others were even worse. Not only were their ultimate mysteries stolen, but they were also fatally injured. "Qin Feiyong, you will die a horrible death. You will die without descendants. You devil. No, I beg you. Give us a way to live, for a time." Curses, screams, and begging for mercy were endless. In just a few dozen breaths of time, everyone from the Sea Clan and the Beast Clan were killed. Soul-Sealing Valley also slowly quieted down. From the beginning to the end, Qin Feiyong and the other 2 watched coldly as the 3 high-grade ruler weapons slaughtered. Whether it was the Sea Clan or the Beast Clan, they could not sympathize with them. Because if they were in a different position now, the Sea Clan and the Beast Clan would not be merciful to them either. They might even be more ruthless. Are you satisfied? Now even if we want to turn back, there is no chance. The 3 high-grade ruler weapons looked at Qin Feiyong and said with some anger, "That's right." Qin Feiyong let the 3 high-grade ruler weapons attack in order to completely cut off the 3 high-grade ruler weapons' thoughts. The Sea Clan and the Beast Clan were the confidants of the Divine Kingdom's ruler. Now, the 3 high-grade ruler weapons had slaughtered the Sea Clan and the Beast Clan. In the future, the 3 high-grade ruler weapons would naturally not dare to find the Divine Kingdom's ruler. Because with the personality of the Divine Kingdom's ruler, if he knew about this, he would definitely not be merciful to them. In the eyes of people like them, high-grade ruler weapons were very powerful existences, but in the eyes of the Divine Kingdom's ruler, they were not worth much. If they want you to be destroyed, you have to be destroyed. What? Do you really have other thoughts? Qin Feiyong looked at the 3 high-grade ruler weapons unkindly. How would we dare? The blood oath has already been made. The 3 high-grade ruler weapons sighed. It's good that you know. Follow us well and we will not treat you badly in the future. Go to the land of source. Qin Feiyong waved his hand. The three divine weapons were filled with helplessness as they flew up into the sky and soon disappeared. The power of Source, it seems that we haven't been there yet. White-eyed Wolf looked at the sky and muttered, "That's right. Why don't we discuss with little brat and let us go take a look?" Madman looked at Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang smiled bitterly. Although he was the ruler of the Black Tortoise world in name, little brat was actually the one who could make the decision. However, what role did little brat play in the Black Tortoise world? Swish! At this moment, a space-time passage appeared. It was Dong Zhengyang, who went into seclusion. "What's wrong?" Qin Feiyang and the other two came back to their senses and looked at him suspiciously. "Lord Jiao and the others are looking for you." After Dong Zhengyang finished speaking, he took out the sound transmission god stone. Buzz! Soon, the figures of a group of old people appeared. These old people were all in the secret room below the village at this moment, looking very vigilant. "Greetings, great-grandfather and great-grandmother." Qin Feiyang bowed. "Starting to miss us so soon?" White-eyed Wolf also grimaced. Seeing that the group of old people were safe and sound, they couldn't help but feel relieved in their hearts. "Miss you? I think you're thinking too much." Lord Zhou glared at White-eyed Wolf, looked at the three of them and praised, "Little Wang has already told us about the battle between you and Dong Xian's group. Well done." "Of course. Don't you know who we are?" White-eyed Wolf smiled proudly. The corner of Lord Zhou's mouth twitched. He really couldn't stand the praise and said, "This time, I didn't send you a message to listen to you brag." Qin Feiyang and the other three looked at each other, and a trace of suspicion crept up on their faces. Lord Zhou said, "Although Dong Hanzong has left the village, he doesn't intend to stop here." "He left just like that?" White-eyed Wolf was surprised. "How could he leave by himself?" "I drove him away." Lord Zhou sneered. "Strong." White-eyed Wolf was taken aback and immediately couldn't help but give a thumbs up. "You're kidding. Just a little brat. How can you let him ride on your head and behave atrociously?" Lord Zhou smiled domineeringly. "Did you record it down? I really want to see his expression at that time." White-eyed Wolf bared his teeth. "Childish." Lord Zhou rolled his eyes speechlessly and said, "But now they all ran to our clan's land, and it seems that they plan to stay there forever. They even asked the Divine King and the Supreme of the human race to meet them and discuss how to deal with you." Lord Zhou snorted and said, "These little brats really think of the 4 great continents as their home. They can do whatever they want. After all, they are the 5 unparalleled geniuses of the Central Dynasty. It's normal to be proud and arrogant." Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. "What kind of geniuses are they? This old man doesn't care about them at all." Lord Zhou disdained and continued, "In addition, they also released the news that they want you to hand over Yu Lao and the others, and they will agree to any conditions." "Ah!" Qin Feiyang and the other two were stunned. "What?" Lord Zhou looked at them suspiciously. "Ahem." Qin Feiyang coughed dryly and said with a smile, "Just now we killed all of them." The group of elders was stunned. That was too fast. Originally, they wanted to use Yu Lao and the others to extort the Central Dynasty, because these people's ultimate meaning had been taken away. Even if they were released, they wouldn't pose any threat to them. Actually, there's nothing to extort. What do we want now? Madman waved his hand indifferently. That's true. The group of elders nodded. These brats had sovereign divine weapons. They also had ultimate meaning. As for resources, they had looted the entire East Continent's spirit veins and crystal veins. Could be said that now, the combined resources of the 3 major clans were probably less than 1/10,000th of these brats. There's one more thing. Dongping seems to be outside looking for Lu Yuntian and Lu Yunfeng. That's what we're worried about. 5 unparalleled geniuses, plus Lu Yuntian and Lu Yunfeng. I'm afraid even you have to avoid them. Lord Zhou said. Lu Yuntian, Lu Yunfeng. Qin Feiyang and the others looked at each other and a meaningful smile appeared on their faces. There was no need to worry about that at all. What's with that expression? Aren't you worried at all? Lord Zhou frowned. I'm worried. The white-eyed wolf nodded repeatedly. Is that so? Why can't I see that you're worried? Lord Zhou's face darkened. Did this look like someone who was worried? After all, the eunuchs were more worried than the emperor. You don't have to show that you're worried. The white-eyed wolf grinned and thought for a while. Compared to brother Lu Yunfeng, I'm more interested in Dongping now. Is he outside alone now? Yes. Lord Zhou nodded. Hearing this, the white-eyed wolf looked at Qin Feiyong and Madman with a sly smile. Looks like we don't need to remind you. Seeing this, Boss Ji chuckled. The white-eyed wolf looked at Lord Zhou in a daze. We didn't say anything. Do as you see fit. Lord Zhou quickly waved his hand. Treacherous old fox. The white-eyed wolf cursed and said, Then you have to give us an accurate location. Madman bared his teeth. We don't know either. Go find him yourself. Anyway, be quick when the time comes, Lord Zhou said and then looked at Lord Zhou. Lord Zhou waved his hand and the voice transmission stone turned off. The group of old men disappeared. Madman was stunned and speechless. If you don't tell us Dongping's location, how are we going to hunt him? Isn't it easy to know Dongping's location? Qin Feiyong smiled faintly. That's right. Don't forget that we have a young man named Mu Qing with us. The white-eyed wolf chuckled. Madman paused and then laughed dryly. I forgot about him. Come on, let's go back to the Devil's Land and kill Dongping. Then we'll send his body to the Purple Gold Divine Dragon's territory as a gift to the Central Dynasty. Qin Feiyong, the white-eyed wolf, and Dong Zhongyang also smiled when they heard this. Chapter 42-37. Southern Continent. This was the territory of the Protoss. Star Moon City. There was a restaurant called the Moon Pavilion. The Moon Pavilion was the largest and most luxurious restaurant in Star Moon City. Star Moon City was one of the top cities in the Southern Continent. There were many powerful people in the city. The city lord of Star Moon City was someone who had mastered 4 ultimate profundities of supreme laws and 2 ultimate profundities of ordinary laws. Because of this, most of the people who went in and out of the Moon Pavilion were powerful people. Because of the luxurious and high-end Moon Pavilion, many young people liked to come here to have fun. At this moment, in the main hall by the window, a young man in blood-red clothes sat alone at a table with delicious delicacies and a few jars of divine wine beside him. He drank the divine wine while leisurely looking through the window at the pedestrians coming and going on the street. There were humans and Protoss among the pedestrians. Don't say it. This woman from the god race sure looks unique. The young man in blood-red clothes stared at a rather sweet-looking Protoss woman and muttered to himself. This person was Dongping. He sat in the restaurant in a very ostentatious manner. All the guests in the main hall, whether they were humans or Protoss, were extremely wary of him. Because the battle between Dongping and Qin Feiyong's group had already spread across the 4 great continents, everyone was no stranger to Dongping now. He was a prodigy from the Central Dynasty. Moreover, he was someone who dared to confront Qin Feiyong's group head-on. Who would dare to be presumptuous in the face of such a prodigy? Everyone was very careful when they spoke, afraid that they would disturb Dongping. Who won the battle between them and Qin Feiyong? Who knows? At that time, all the living beings in the Western continent, except for the Lord, the Divine King, and Ji Zun withdrew. But now the Lord, the Divine King, and Ji Zun have not revealed anything about the battle. Why don't you make a guess? Lower your voice. Don't let him hear you. Otherwise, we'll have to bear the consequences. I know. If you really want to guess, this person came to the Moon Pavilion unscathed to drink, so they're probably the winners. Not necessarily. All of us have witnessed Qin Feiyong and the other two's strength. Furthermore, if the ones who lost were truly Qin Feiyong and the others, then those people from the Central Dynasty would have definitely spread the news everywhere. Thus, I think that the ones who won should be Qin Feiyong and the others. Some people were whispering to each other. Some were secretly communicating, aiding. In short, they were very careful. Tap tap, tap. Along with the sound of footsteps, 3 young men in luxurious clothes walked in. Arrogant and condescending. He was clearly a hedonistic son of a wealthy family. The 3 of them scanned the hall, and there seemed to be a glint in their eyes. They walked to the empty table next to Dongping and shouted, "Waiter, give us a few bottles of divine wine." Dongping glanced at the 3 people and raised his eyebrows slightly. What kind of playboy is this? Can't he see that the Central Dynasty's elites are sitting next to him? The waiter of the restaurant hurried over and looked at Dongping nervously. He then whispered to the 3 playboys, "Young masters, please lower your voice." "Lower my voice? What do you mean? Isn't the restaurant a place to eat, drink, and have fun? Why are you acting like thieves?" One of the playboys frowned. Yes. The waiter smiled apologetically and said, "Young master, you're right. The restaurant should have a lively atmosphere. But the situation is different now. There's a big shot from the Central Dynasty here." "A big shot from the Central Dynasty? Who?" The 3 playboys looked around the hall curiously. Looking at these 3 ignorant playboys, everyone was speechless. The waiter was also depressed. Where did these 3 idiots come from? Everyone knew about the battle between the Central Dynasty's 4 elites and Qin Feiyang's group in the West Continent. But these 3 idiots didn't know? Suddenly, the waiter sensed a murderous aura. He hurriedly looked at Dongping and said with a flattering smile, "Sir, please don't be angry. I'll ask them to be quiet." The 3 hedonistic sons also looked at Dongping. "You're the big shot from the Central Dynasty? Do you have evidence?" One of the playboys stared at him curiously and asked. Dongping was stunned. Evidence was needed? It seemed that these 3 were really good for nothings. "Shut up, you guys." The waiter was burning with anxiety. He pointed upstairs and said in a pleading tone, "If the 3 of you really want a lively atmosphere, please go to the private room upstairs." However, the 3 playboys turned a deaf ear. One of them walked behind Dongping casually and patted Dongping on the shoulder. He smiled and said, "Brother, you've got guts. How dare you pretend to be someone from the Central Dynasty?" Dongping's body stiffened, and a wisp of rage flashed between his brows as he glanced at the hand that pressed down on his shoulder. "I'm not pretending. Who dares to pretend to be someone from the Central Dynasty? Hurry up and go upstairs. Don't disturb this sir anymore." The waiter comforted Dongping while looking anxiously at the 3 playboys. Weren't they courting death? It didn't matter if they wanted to die, but they couldn't implicate the Moon Pavilion. The Moon Pavilion was just a place for business. How could it withstand the anger of such a big shot? "Are you really from the Central Dynasty?" The 3 playboys looked at the waiter and the surrounding customers in disbelief. "Take your dirty hands off me." As a cold voice sounded, a huge force appeared. The playboy who was pressing on Dongping's shoulder was pushed back on the spot. The playboy's face was pale. "Sir, please calm down, please calm down." The waiter apologized profusely. He looked at the 3 playboys and said angrily, "Why aren't you apologizing to the sir?" The 3 playboys finally reacted. Sorry. Sir, we didn't recognize Mount Tai. Please don't take it to heart. We'll shut up immediately." The 3 playboys bowed and ran to the table at the side. They sat there with pale faces and trembling. There are such trash in the 4 great continents. Dongping looked at the 3 playboys with undisguised disdain in his eyes. Such trash didn't even have the right to make him attack. So, Dongping ignored the 3 playboys and continued to look at the passers-by outside the window. Now you know what fear is. The waiter heaved a sigh of relief. He glared at the 3 playboys and turned to leave. After a while, he brought 3 pots of divine wine and a few dishes. Before he left, he didn't forget to remind the 3 playboys not to provoke the prodigy of the Central Dynasty. The 3 playboys nodded and agreed. The hall returned to dead silence. However, no one noticed, including Dongping, that the eyes of these 3 young men who seemed to be hedonistic sons of rich parents were suffused with strands of bright light. This guy is even more arrogant than me. He came here to drink and didn't even let others speak. One of them secretly transmitted his voice. He's asking for a beating. Another one pursed his lips and transmitted his voice. Little Qinzi, why don't you do it? That's right. These 3 playboys were Qin Feiyang, the lunatic, and the white-eyed wolf. Mu Qing's omniscient. I was really powerful. As long as one knew the appearance or name, no matter where the other party was, one could clearly peek at them. Even if Dongping changed his appearance now, he couldn't escape the omniscient eye's tracking. I definitely can't do it now, Qin Feiyang secretly said. Dongping was not weak and had the undying domain. To kill him, one had to go all out. This was the key. Once they attacked here, not to mention the Moon Tower, even Xingyue City could not be saved. The god race and the human race in Xingyue City would also be affected. If they were still enemies with the god race and the human race, it didn't matter. But the problem now was that the Divine King and Jizun had allied with them. If he destroyed Xingyue City and killed the god race and the human race in the city, the Divine King and Jizun would definitely settle the score with him. So, to deal with Dongping, he had to first lure him out of the city and find a place where there were very few people. But how could he trick him out? Qin Feiyong lowered his head and pondered. Suddenly, he noticed Dongping's abnormality. This person had been looking out of the window. What was he looking at? So, Qin Feiyong was drinking while paying attention to Dongping. Very soon, he found a clue. Dongping's gaze was actually on the women walking on the street. Could it be that Dongping had this hobby? Qin Feiyong's eyes flashed and he transmitted his voice. White-eyed wolf, senior brother, I have thought of 2 ways. What way? The 2 of them were drinking happily and looked at him suspiciously. The first way is to pretend to be big cousin and the inner demons. Anyway, isn't he waiting for the inner demons and big cousin now? As for the second way, Qin Feiyong secretly laughed and muttered a few words. Huh. The 2 of them were stunned and secretly observed Dongping. Sure enough, as Qin Feiyong said, this Dongping seemed to be a little greedy for women. You guys decide. Do you want to use the first way or the second way? Qin Feiyong secretly said. Nonsense. Of course we'll use the second way. It's more interesting this way. Madman was in high spirits. I'll also use the second way. White-eyed wolf secretly replied and also laughed sinisterly. You 2 guys. Qin Feiyong shook his head and transmitted his voice. All right. You guys stay put for the time being. I'll go and meet him. After that, he picked up the wine pot, got up and walked to the opposite side of Dongping. Chapter 4238. Dongping sensed Qin Feiyong and frowned slightly. The other customers who were whispering immediately looked at Qin Feiyong when they saw this scene. What was this idiot trying to do? The waiter of the restaurant changed his expression and immediately put down his work. He was ready to deal with any sudden changes that might happen next. Is this really that? A frightened bird, a soldier in every bush. The madman shook his head and smiled bitterly. A casual action actually made these people so nervous. How could their psychological quality be so bad? Qin Feiyong looked at Dongping and said with a flattering smile, Big brother, please calm down. I'm here to apologize. I hope you can forgive me for offending you just now. You're not tactful at all. However, not only did Dongping not accept Qin Feiyong's apology, he stared at Qin Feiyong with disgust. Me? Qin Feiyong had a panicked expression as he hurriedly asked, Big brother, what did I do? You didn't do anything wrong, but what you said has made a fatal mistake. Dongping's eyes flashed coldly. I'm here to apologize. I didn't say anything wrong, right? Qin Feiyong's face was filled with fear. He vividly displayed the cowardice of a playboy. Dongping said indifferently, then think carefully. What did you say just now? Qin Feiyong recalled and said in fear, What I said seems to be, Big brother, please calm down. Without waiting for Qin Feiyong to finish, Dongping opened his mouth and said, You still haven't realized such an obvious problem? What problem? Qin Feiyong was at a complete loss. Was there a problem with this? The madman and the white-eyed wolf were also pondering. Such a humble and polite apology, what problem could there be? Bastard! What qualifications do you have to call me brother? Dongping was furious. He slammed the table and glared at Qin Feiyong. I see. Qin Feiyong, the mad scientist, and the white-eyed wolf were suddenly enlightened. It turned out that he had angered this person because he had called him Big Brother. What a joke. Even calling him Big Brother would offend him. Yes. Qin Feiyong nodded repeatedly and said apologetically, I'm sorry, it's this little brother. No, it's this little one's fault. I hope Big Brother, no, please forgive me. That's more like it. Dongping's expression eased a lot. One must know how to be tactful. I am a peerless genius of the Central Dynasty, and you are just a playboy from the 4 great continents. What right do you have to call me brother? Isn't this lowering my status as a genius? My lord, I'll punish myself with 3 cups of wine for my previous offense. Qin Feiyang poured 3 cups of wine in a row and drank them all in one gulp. What the arrogant Dong Ping didn't know was that he should be the one feeling honored. Because for Qin Feiyang, drinking depended on the person. In other words, only when he met someone he respected, someone he admired, would he accompany them for a few drinks. Have you finished drinking? Then get out of here. Don't be an eyesore. Dong Ping didn't appreciate it and looked at him with contempt as if he was looking at a fly. Qin Feiyang wasn't angry. After all, he was a playboy now. How could he be angry? However, Qin Feiyang didn't know how to continue the conversation with this kind of attitude of sticking his hot face to a cold butt, because he was not a flatterer. After thinking for a while, his eyes suddenly lit up and he nodded. Okay, as long as you are not angry, milord, I'll take my leave. Then he took the wine cup, twisted the wine pot, got up and went back to the table. Seeing this, the waiter of the restaurant finally breathed a sigh of relief. Oh Qin, you can't do this. After talking for a long time, you still haven't got to the point. The madman looked at Qin Feiyang with contempt. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. Watch me. Watch how I'm going to fool him. The madman smiled sinisterly. Don't go. Qin Feiyang hurriedly stopped him and said, I just came back. If you run over now, maybe he will be suspicious. I have thought of a better and more direct way. What way? The madman and the white-eyed wolf were curious. Watch carefully. Qin Feiyang smiled secretly, put down the wine cup, got up and walked towards the door. Seeing Qin Feiyang suddenly get up, the waiter thought that Qin Feiyang was going to provoke Dong Ping again. His heart that had just been relieved was instantly in his throat. However, when he saw that Qin Feiyang had left the restaurant, he heaved a sigh of relief. This playboy was really torturing. In fact, no matter what restaurant it was, they were very welcoming to playboys. That was because hedonistic young masters were extravagant in their spending. That way their restaurants would earn more. But it was different now. Dong Ping was sitting here, and the waiter wished that these playboys could all get out of here so as not to bring trouble to the restaurant. Not long after Qin Feiyang left, he returned to the restaurant. At the same time, there was also a burst of fragrance that poured into the restaurant hall. At Qin Feiyang's side there was a stunning woman. This woman was Fire Lotus. Fire Lotus had never left the Black Tortoise realm, so even if she didn't change her appearance, no one would recognize her. And Fire Lotus's beauty was needless to say. Whether it was her appearance or her figure, they were both devastatingly beautiful. Especially now, she deliberately dressed up, which made her look even more charming. As expected, the arrival of Fire Lotus immediately attracted the attention of all the men present. Your sister. This is too unreasonable. A playboy actually knows such a beautiful woman. Whether it is temperament or other aspects, they are not on the same level. It is simply a flower inserted in cow dung. Everyone was indignant in their hearts. When Dong Ping heard the commotion, he couldn't help but look at Fire Lotus, and his eyes lit up. She was truly a peerless beauty. When he saw Qin Feiyang beside her, the jealousy in his heart couldn't help but climb up uncontrollably. How could such a playboy be worthy of such a woman with such temperament? When the white-eyed wolf and the frenzy saw Fire Lotus appear, they suddenly realized that Qin Feiyang was planning to use a beauty trap. Let's go. Qin Feiyang pulled Fire Lotus and walked towards the frenzy and the white-eyed wolf with a smug look on his face. This woman is really blind. Why did she fall for this scum? Am I not better than this playboy? Many men couldn't help but compare themselves with Qin Feiyang in their hearts. And with such a comparison, their hearts felt even more unbalanced. Qin Feiyang crossed his legs and looked at Fire Lotus under everyone's jealous gaze, and asked, tea or wine? Nonsense. Of course we are here to drink. Moreover, if she doesn't drink, you won't have a chance. The frenzy played along with the act and laughed. What nonsense are you talking about? If you continue, I will leave. Fire Lotus glared at the frenzy and pouted. Don't. The frenzy quickly pulled Fire Lotus's hand and gritted his teeth. Your little hand is so slippery. Scram. Fire Lotus's face darkened. Although it was an act, she couldn't say everything, right? Those who didn't know would think that she was a loose woman. This is really unreasonable. Why is the heavens so unfair? I beg you to bestow me a beauty of the highest quality as well. Everyone wailed in their hearts. Qin Feiyang was constantly paying attention to Dongping and noticed that when Fire Lotus entered the restaurant, Dongping would occasionally glance at Fire Lotus. He became more and more certain of his judgment. This Dongping was definitely a scumbag. At this moment, Huolian displayed the charm of a mature woman to the fullest, becoming the center of attention for all the men here. About half an hour later, Qin Feiyang put down his wine cup and looked at Fire Lotus with a smile. Why don't we go outside the city? A few days ago, I accidentally ran into a valley. Not only is the scenery beautiful, there are also many fun things. Really? Fire Lotus looked at Qin Feiyang and asked innocently. Woman, don't go. Don't go. These playboys definitely won't feel at ease. Someone roared in their heart. Qin Feiyang nodded. Okay. Fire Lotus nodded without hesitation. What a silly woman. You won't even know what happened when you get eaten. A man next to him shook his head. Waiter bill. Qin Feiyang waved at the waiter standing in front of the counter. The waiter quickly ran over. When he saw Fire Lotus, his eyes were filled with amazement. At the same time, he was envious. It seemed that being a playboy had its benefits. Qin Feiyang was very generous. He took out a large pile of soul stones and threw it to the waiter. Then, he led Fire Lotus and Frenzy out without looking back. All of a sudden, I also want to be a playboy. A young man shook his head and sighed. To be a playboy, you also need to have the capital. Wait for your next life. If you find a powerful father in your next life, then you will have the qualifications to be a playboy. The young man's companions couldn't help but laugh at him. Looking at the backs of Qin Feiyang and the other three, Dongping's eyes flashed. He didn't follow? On the street, there was an endless stream of people in carriages. Qin Feiyang and the other three walked in the crowd, paying attention to their backs at all times, but they didn't see Dongping's figure. Don't waste so much time. He didn't have the intention at all. White-Eyed Wolf muttered. Then we can only say that our Fire Lotus sister's charm isn't good enough. Frenzy bared his teeth. Fire Lotus immediately rolled her eyes and said angrily, It's obvious that you can use the name of the inner demons and Lu Jiajin to easily lure this person out of the city. Why do you have to do such a fancy thing? This is Senior Brother and White-Eyed Wolf's idea. It has nothing to do with me. Qin Feiyang hurriedly distanced himself from the matter. Fire Lotus looked at Frenzy and White-Eyed Wolf and said speechlessly, I knew it was you two wicked guys. Don't talk nonsense. This idea was obviously little Qin Zi's idea. White-Eyed Wolf said angrily. Fire Lotus looked at Qin Feiyang in shock. Ahem. Qin Feiyang coughed dryly and turned his head to hide the awkwardness on his face. But suddenly, the corner of his mouth lifted slightly and he said with a smile, Pay attention to the back. The three of them were stunned and secretly glanced at the crowd behind them. They saw a blood-haired young man mixed in the crowd. If it wasn't Dongping, who else could it be? The fish finally took the bait. Chapter 42-39. The boundless mountain was filled with vitality and vitality. About an hour passed. A group of 4 people arrived while talking and laughing, landing at the entrance of a valley. It was Qin Feiyang, Madman, White-Eyed Wolf and Fire Lotus. There was naturally no lack of valleys in the mountains. They could be found anywhere. Moreover, this place was very far from Star Moon City. As long as they finished the battle quickly, they shouldn't affect the living beings of Star Moon City. The 4 of them looked at each other and entered the valley without looking back. Just as they entered the valley, Dongping's foot landed at the entrance of the valley. Sweeping his gaze over the entrance of the valley, he also took a step forward. Like a ghost, he walked in stealthily. What are you doing? But before he entered the valley, an angry shout came from inside. It was Fire Lotus's voice. Don't you know what we're doing? Madman's voice sounded with a trace of wretchedness. Your beasts, let go of me, Fire Lotus roared. Don't waste your energy. This person is extremely rare. It's useless even if you shout until your throat breaks. White-Eyed Wolf's voice sounded. Scum. Hearing these voices, Dongping cursed in his heart and rushed into the valley like lightning. He saw Fire Lotus being blocked by Qin Feiyang and the other 2 in a corner. You 3 scum, let go of her. Dongping shouted. But he couldn't help but be overjoyed. Wasn't this a ready-made hero saving the beauty? Who's so blind to ruin our good thing? Qin Feiyong and the other two raised their eyebrows and turned to look at Dong Ping. Their faces immediately changed and they asked while trembling, "Sir, why is it you? Young master, save me." Fire Lotus also stretched out her helpless little hand to Dong Ping. Her pitiful appearance made one's heart ache. Scram! Dong Ping's aura exploded, and with an angry shout, it directly shook Qin Feiyong and the other two to vomit blood. The three of them were terrified and quickly retreated to the side. Fire Lotus immediately ran towards Dong Ping. Her tear-stained face immediately captured Dong Ping's heart. She comforted him, "I'm here. It'll be fine." "Thank you, young master." Fire Lotus wiped her tears and glared at Qin Feiyong and the other two. "I didn't expect you guys to be such scum." White-Eyed Wolf gloomily looked at Fire Lotus, then looked at Dong Ping and smiled obsequiously, "Big brother." No, my lord, if you like, we can give it to you." "Shut up." "For me? What do you take women for?" Dong Ping said furiously. "We're all men, so we know what's going on. Why do you have to do this?" The White-Eyed Wolf smiled obsequiously. "Don't compare yourself to me. You bastards, even if you die, you deserve to die." Dong Ping shouted righteously. Yes. It's our fault. We'll scram right now." Madman nodded and quickly ran out of the valley. "Stop." Dong Ping's gaze turned cold. "Do you have any other orders?" The three of them stopped and looked at Dong Ping in fear. "Did I ask you to leave again?" Dong Ping put on a smug expression. Because Fire Lotus was looking at him with admiration, this made him feel even more proud. He shouted, "Kneel down right now and apologize to this lady. If she doesn't forgive you, then all of you will die today." Apologize to her? The three of them were stunned. "Is there a problem?" Dong Ping raised his eyebrows. No. Qin Feiyong and the other two waved their hands. However, they sneered in their hearts. This guy really knows how to pretend to be a good person. If it was a naive girl, she might really fall for him and even marry him on the spot. "Then hurry up." Dong Ping shouted coldly. I'm sorry, it's all our fault. Please speak for us and let us go." "We won't dare to." Qin Feiyong and the other two looked at Fire Lotus and begged. The corner of Fire Lotus's mouth twitched. "Why don't you become actors? What a waste of talent." Dong Ping turned to look at Fire Lotus and revealed a smile that he thought was very good. He said, "Lady, I'll do whatever you say to them." "Really?" Fire Lotus looked at him charmingly. "Yes." Dong Ping nodded. Looking at her rosy skin and charming eyes, he couldn't help but feel restless. "That's what you said." Fire Lotus said. "I said it." Dong Ping smiled. "Then Fire Lotus looked at Qin Feiyong and the other two, then looked at Dong Ping and said, "I want you to die." "Okay. I'll let them die." Dong Ping nodded. He was so proud that he didn't hear Fire Lotus's words clearly. She meant, "I want you to die." In the end, Dong Ping thought that she wanted Qin Feiyong and the other two to die. Frenzy was stunned and secretly laughed. This guy's brain doesn't seem to work well when he sees women? Haha, Qin Feiyong and the White-Eyed Wolf secretly laughed. "Die all of you." Dong Ping's eyes flashed with killing intent as an ultimate law appeared. His body stood straight, looking majestic. This is ultimate law. Qin Feiyong and the other two's faces changed. Fire Lotus also looked at Dong Ping in shock. "Don't be afraid. I won't hurt you." Dong Ping smiled at Fire Lotus. "You're amazing. You've even comprehended the ultimate law." Fire Lotus looked at him as if she was looking at her idol. Her eyes filled with admiration. This undoubtedly made Dong Ping even more complacent and almost forgot himself. "It's okay." He said it very modestly, but the arrogance in his expression was not concealed at all. "Lord, we really know our mistake, please let us go." Qin Feiyong and the other two all showed a look of horror, and even their bodies were trembling. "Let you go?" Dong Ping sneered. "If I let you go, how can I capture this woman's heart? For the sake of my blissful sex life later, all of you can go to hell for me." The ultimate law attacked the three of them. His face was full of confidence. These three hedonistic sons of rich parents could be easily squashed to death with just a finger, let alone ultimate laws and ultimate profundities. Haha, you're really a good man. Fortunately, I'm not a woman, otherwise I would want to marry you. White-eyed wolf really couldn't help but laugh out loud. Tears came out of his eyes. Damn. I haven't played enough. Frenzy glared at him. I can't hold it in. White-eyed wolf expressed his innocence. What's the situation? Dongping looked at the two in a daze. Were they scared silly? It was also at this moment. He suddenly felt a tearing pain in his lower abdomen, and the ultimate law that attacked Qin Feiyang and the other two also dissipated. Dongping was stunned and instinctively looked down, only to see a dagger in his lower abdomen, piercing his energy reserve, and drops of blood flowed out. The hand that grabbed the dagger was Fire Lotus next to him. What's going on? Dongping was stunned. Lord, I'm sorry, I didn't do it on purpose. I was really scared out of my wits. I wanted to kill them, but I accidentally hurt you. I'll help you stop the bleeding. Fire Lotus said in a panic, and after saying that, she pulled out the dagger, and blood spurted out of the wound like a blood arrow. But the next moment, she stabbed Dongping's lower abdomen again. You? Dongping looked at Fire Lotus in shock and anger. Fire Lotus pulled out the dagger again and retreated to the side of Qin Feiyang and the other two. She blinked her bright eyes and said in a charming voice, I really didn't do it on purpose, young master. You have to believe me. Dongping raised his head and looked at the four of them. The four of them looked at each other with a mocking smile. Dongping finally reacted. They were teasing him. You dare to tease me? You must have eaten the guts of a leopard. In an instant, Dongping's face became incomparably ferocious. Frenzy rolled his eyes and sneered. So what if we tease you? Do you really think you're a big shot? You're courting death. Dongping said word by word with a murderous aura. Courting death? Your energy reserve is destroyed and you've lost your cultivation. Even if we stand here and don't move, what can you do to us? Geniuses of the Central Dynasty? What the hell? You think we're really rich? Wrong. We're not rich, we're super rich. If you dare to offend us, even if you're from the Central Dynasty, you'll have to kneel down before us. Frenzy sneered. Not a dandy but a super dandy? Is there a difference? The white-eyed wolf looked at Frenzy in astonishment. Of course there's a difference. How can an ordinary rich be compared to us three super rich? Frenzy smiled proudly. That's true. The white-eyed wolf nodded and looked at Dongping with a proud smile. How about it, have you seen our methods? The three of us super rich, that's not an undeserved reputation. Dongping looked at Frenzy and the white-eyed wolf and laughed angrily. At present, he hadn't seen through the identities of the three and thought that they were here to take revenge on him after being humiliated by him in the Moon Pavilion. You wanted us to kneel down before, right? Fine. Now you kneel down for us too. As long as you kowtow to us a few times and call us Grandpa, we'll spare your dog life. Frenzy looked at him mockingly. Kneel? Kowtow? Call me Grandpa, Dongping murmured. Boom! A monstrous murderous aura erupted as he roared. You guys really don't know what's good for you. The undead domain was activated. His shattered sea of qi and the wound on his lower abdomen instantly healed. What? Qin Feiyang and the other two were dumbfounded. This must be a dream. They rubbed their eyes and looked at Dongping's lower abdomen again, revealing a look of disbelief. Fire Lotus was speechless. He was still acting. He was addicted to acting, right? However, this Dongping was indeed stupid to the point of being cute. He didn't even think about it. If it was really just three rich kids, would they dare to provoke people from the Central Dynasty? It would be too late to curry favor with them. Dongping laughed sinisterly. Pay the price for your stupidity. An ultimate profundity of an ultimate law once again appeared out of thin air and charged furiously towards Qin Feiyang's group of four. Run! Frenzy shouted anxiously. The white-eyed wolf immediately swept up the three of them and activated momentary time. Without looking back, they rushed out of the valley and fled into the distance. Immortal God of War will continue to be updated in the new book pavilion. There are no advertisements in the website. Please bookmark and recommend the new book pavilion. You're tuning in to the Li Mei Sword of Destiny YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference. as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.